Welcome everyone, and welcome to this Being Productive with JHipster session at Devox. So I'm Julien Dubois.
I'm Deepu.
And we are very, very happy to meet each other. It's the first time we meet. We've been working together for two years every day, and that's the first time we meet for Devox. So thanks a lot, Devox, for inviting us and allowing us to meet each other. So let's get started. So I'm Julien Dubois, so I'm the JHipster creator and lead developer. I also work for Ipon Technology. We're a cool consulting company.
So I'm Deepu K Sasidharan. I'm the current co-lead of JHipster. So I started working on JHipster like 2 years back. Currently I work for Sebia Labs. It's on the back.
And if you want to react to the talk, don't hesitate to mention at JHipster. I'll do my best. I will have the Twitter here. I'll do my best to answer you live while Deepu is speaking.
Okay. So JHipster is basically a Spring Boot and AngularJS application generator. So what we generate is an AngularJS client app and a Spring Boot server-side app. So it is fully open source. No weird licenses. It is Apache 2 licensed, completely free to use. We have more than 250 contributors as of now, more than 5,300 GitHub stars, around 320,000 plus installations. And there are 100 plus companies officially using it, including some big names.
Yeah, just showing the companies. The full list is here. So we've got more than 100 companies, and we feature nearly 50 of them. So we've got lots of companies here. If your company uses it, don't hesitate to add it, and we will be very happy to have you here. So a little introduction to the technologies that we are going to see. We're going to see all of them more in details during the talk, of course. So on the server side, we are using Spring Boot with, let's say, the Spring Stack, which includes Spring Security. We're using Netflix OSS for microservices. We'll see that at the end of the talk. We support Maven and Gradle for building. We use Hibernate. We support Kafka. We use Liquibase. We support a lot of databases, including MySQL, PostgreSQL, Oracle. Even if you use Oracle, it's free. As Deepu said, everything is open source and free. With JHipster, there is no trick. For NoSQL databases, we support MongoDB. We'll see that also in our demo. We support Cassandra. We use Consul for microservices. We support several caches like EHCache, Hazelcast. We support Elasticsearch for searching, Timeleaf for doing, let's say,
multi-page templates.
Multiple page. For testing, we have quite a lot of tools, including Gatling and Cucumber. We have Protractor, lots of them. Yeah. Also, that will be on the other side.
Yes.
And we use Swagger for documenting our REST API. So we will see, I think, all of them, well, not PostgreSQL and Oracle, but we will see all of those during this talk.
And on the client side, we have HTML5, CSS3. We use Bootstrap for the theming. Then there is AngularJS. We use jQuery, WebSockets using Stomp and Sock.js. We have Bower for your front-end dependency management, Gulf for your front-end build. We have optional Sass support if you want to use Sass instead of CSS. We have browser sync so that you have a very good developer experience. We'll be showing more of that later. We have Karma and Protractor for testing. Okay, so that's a lot of technologies. We are going to see how they fit together and how we manage everything for you so that it's very easy for you to get started. Yeah, the key point that you said is developer experience. We try to have a very, very good developer experience. So, okay. So, since JHipster is a Yeoman generator, we publish it to the NPM repo. So, you have to install it using NPM. Alternatively, if you don't want to have a manual installation procedure, you could use a Docker image. We have an official Docker image. Or you could use a dev box, which we provide. So, you could use a JHipster dev box for that as well. But the simplest way to install is using npm install.
Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I don't know if it's big enough. Yeah, putting it a little bit bigger. Yeah, it's big enough? OK, so I'm creating a new directory. I'm going to work there. And at the moment, JHipster is not installed. So if I run Yeoman, can you say yo JHipster? It's not installed. I've got some other generators, but it's not installed. So I'm going to do exactly what is written here. I'm going to install it using npm. So npm g install generator JHipster at 3.9.1. I'm not using the latest version on purpose because we are going to see how we can upgrade.
Yeah. If you want to install the latest version, you can skip that at and the version number. So I think you will know that.
Yeah, and you will have the latest version. So I'm installing the previous version. It's going to run for, I don't know, a few seconds. Depends on the Wi-Fi. Should be pretty fast.
Yeah. And it's NPM, so.
Yeah. And, oh, by the way, in the next version, we will support Yarn.
Yarn as well.
So Yarn is a new package manager, which is, let's say, an alternative to NPM, and it's much faster.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's already done. And now, if I do yo JHipster again, well, JHipster is ready. We're going to see that in a minute. Once you have installed JHipster, we've got lots of tools to help you. One of my favorite ones is OmyZSH. So if you already are familiar with OmyZSH, well, it's just a plugin that we add. If you don't know it, you should have a look at OmyZSH because it's going to help you a lot if you are Linux or macOS. It gives you lots of plugins. So usually I use the JHipster plugin, but I'm also using the Git plugin, the Docker and Docker Compose plugin. You will see it gives me auto-completion for a lot of things. And that's why I'm not going to type, well, it depends on what I want to do, but I'm not going to type this all the time. I'm going to type GH instead, which is smaller and nicer. So we're going to have shortcuts for everything, which is nicer for a demo.
OK. So let's see how we can generate an application using JHipster. So there are a lot of questions which would be asked. You would have to answer those. There are validations and help on the way. So let's say we are doing an online store for hipsters. So what I would like to do is I would like to start fast. So we don't have much time. So we would like to start fast. And we need JWT for security. That is our enterprise standard. And we only use MySQL DB. And say we don't have much time, so we need it fast. So how can you help us here? OK. So I'm going to be the coder, of course.
So I'm going to create a new directory for that, so store. So my client Deepu wants to have an online store for hipsters. So I'm going to go there. And I'm going to call JHipster.
OK.
And it's going to ask me questions. Well, first of all, it's telling me you're not having the latest version.
Okay.
So that's what we're going to see just afterwards. And it's going to ask me lots of questions. We're going to see them in details during the talk. So here I'm going to go a little bit fast, except on the questions corresponding to what Deepu wants.
OK.
So he wanted a monolithic application.
Okay.
It's called Hipster Store. Hipster Store. OK, my package name. You wanted to have JSON Web Tokens.
Yes.
So we will detail security afterwards, but here I've got the option. You wanted to use SQL. So first of all, I'm going to select SQL Database, not MongoDB or Cassandra. And in the SQL databases, you wanted MySQL,
yes,
which is our default choice. So that's cool. In development, I've got a choice. I can either use the same database as in production, which is what you want.
Okay.
If you want to go faster, well, it depends on what you call faster. You can also use H2, which is an embedded database. For this demo, I'd rather use MySQL because that's what you asked for. I'm going to use EHCache. I'm going to use Maven. I know you love Gradle, but I'd rather use Maven. I'm the coder, so I choose whatever I want. I've got tons of options with JHipster. We're going to see them more in details afterwards. But for the moment, you don't ask for any of those. So
yeah, I would let you choose what is best.
Yeah, we can have something quite simple. So I'm not going to add lots of bloated stuff if we don't need them. We can add them afterwards. Yeah, we're not going to work a lot on CSS, so I will just have basic CSS. Oh, internationalization, we didn't talk about that. So I guess you want it.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
I'm taking English and French for me.
Yes.
Do you want another language?
I could have Dutch as well.
Sorry?
Dutch as well.
Oh, Hindi.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
It's fine as well. Yeah.
Sorry.
I wanted Dutch. That's fine. Fine. I can add later. I hope.
Yeah, yes, we can change afterwards. And for testing, we've got support for several testing tools. Out of the box, we've got, of course, JUnit and so on. We'll see that afterwards. And those are add-ons if you want them. And by default, you have Gatling also.
Okay.
I just clicked, and it's generating everything.
That's fast.
And so, my dear client, everything is done. Thank you, that was 1,000 euros.
Oh, really? So you mean to say that whatever I asked for is ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
I won't believe it until you show me.
Okay. I'm going to start it as soon as it's fully generated. Let me configure my IDE to show what is being generated. So for IDE, we support everything because basically we are command line based. Usually people use IntelliJ, Eclipse, or NetBeans. Some hipsters now use Visual Studio Code. I kind of like it, so we've got a full documentation for that. It really depends on what you'd rather do. I'm going to use IDE here because I think that's what most people are familiar with. So the goal is not to show you how to use an IDE. So I'm going to take the easiest option. Yeah, it's generated. So I just start up IntelliJ. I say open. And we call it Devox store. Let's open it up. And as it's a Maven project, well, it's being seen as a Maven project, and everything is generated.
Oh, it's a lot of code, I guess.
So there's a lot of code, and we're going to go through that code to show you what has been generated, both in terms of code and in terms of graphical interface. Yeah, should I? Yeah, I'm going to just show a little bit of the code that was generated. So here we've got, in fact, three main parts. We've got the Java part. So if you are familiar, I'm going to put it bigger onto presentation mode. So the Java part here is, let's say, usual Spring Boot application. If I click here, you can see it's a usual Spring Boot app.
Okay.
With some, let's say, logging telling you, okay, we just started and so on. We're going to see that afterwards.
Okay.
And we've got some packages that were generated for you. So the main ones are the config package. We're going to go through that because that's where we generate most of the stuff at the beginning. And then for your app, we've got a domain package with your domain model. We've got a repository, a service layer, and a web layer with the REST API.
Okay, so everything is pretty much covered. Okay.
Yeah, that's the Java part.
Okay, what about the client side?
On the client side, if I go to web app, here I've got an AngularJS 1 application. We will talk about Angular 2 later. And it's coded using the John Papa style guide. So I've got, if I go here, let's say to the password page, I've got a router, I've got a controller, I've got a directive, and I've got a view. And the view, as you can see here, is done using Twitter Bootstrap. So that's, let's say, basically what people usually use every day. It's like, what I often tell about JHipster is just automating what you would have done yourself. We're not doing something better than what you would have done. We're just automating stuff. That's what you would probably want to have in your project. Your client probably asks to have a password page. Well, it's already generated the way you would probably have done it. And then, of course, you can change it if you want to. That's what we're going to see.
Easier to change as well, I guess.
Yes, that's what we're going to do very quickly. And sorry, I forgot one thing. I took your slide. I forgot one thing. We also generated some database code using Liquibase. That's cool. Because, of course, this would not work with a database. As you asked for MySQL, I've got some. I
assume you would have generated all the needed configuration as well.
Yes. Let's have a look. It's in resources, config, Liquibase.
Okay.
And here, I've got my Liquibase changelog with my initial schema.
That seems like almost 3 man-months of code generated.
Yes. So that's what's quite quick. Last but not least, sorry, we generated also some Docker configuration because we're going to see that very quickly.
Yeah.
I want Docker for production, but here I already selected, I wanted to have MySQL in development. So what's really cool is that I've already got a Docker compose file for MySQL, which is ready for me
that's cool.
to work on.
That's cool.
So we generated the backend, we generated the front end, but we also generated a lot of tooling with some Maven, Liquibase, Docker. It's not just backend and front end, it's also tooling, and there's a lot of work here to have everything set up correctly and logically and all working together.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. So now I would assume that you're going to show me what is generated?
Yes. Let's have a look at what has been generated. So I'm going to start the app. So first of all, I'm starting Docker, because we said we're going to use MySQL. And here, I'm just going to say Docker compose and use the Docker compose file that was generated for MySQL. Okay. So, of course, if I selected MongoDB, we will see that just afterwards. Of course, it will be MongoDB.yaml. Okay. If I selected PostgreSQL, it would be PostgreSQL.yaml. Oh. If it was Oracle, well, you would need to pay Oracle. But basically, that's the idea. And if you selected some extra options, like Elasticsearch or Kafka, well, it's just files that you would add here, and you would have also Elasticsearch and Kafka.
Okay. So that makes the developer, easy to start. Like,
yes, for the developer, I just do Docker compose with the default database, and it's done. Let me just open it up with my SQL Workbench so that you see I am not cheating.
Yeah.
If I go here, if it started, thank you, Docker. It's just taking time to open. Please stand by. I'm killing it, opening it up again. Otherwise, we will. Oh,
maybe the Docker hasn't
sorry, it's my fault. I was clicking on the wrong button. Okay. Because the other one was for Docker in the VirtualBox image, and this is with Docker for Mac. Okay. Totally my fault. So if I go here, I've got my Hipster store database, and as you can see, it's empty. I've got no table, I've got nothing. Now I'm going to start my app. We're going to see that more in details afterwards, but all you have to know at the moment is that I'm just right-clicking, clicking run, and it's running. What it's going to do is that it's going to start my Java server. By the way, we're using Undertow, so it's quite fast. And Undertow is running Spring, which is running Liquibase, which is creating the database. So if I come back here, whoa, magic, my database is here with my foreign keys, my indexes, everything is here. And of course, I can go to my app, and the Hipster store is here. Welcome, okay. Java Hipster.
That looks cool. So, you got a login screen. Okay, so you have accounts, you have administration. So, what do you have? What are the account things generated here?
Yeah, so we generate 2 types of screens at the beginning. Screens for security, so it's your account stuff. Okay. And that's most of what was generated on the server and client side, because by default, you of course need security.
Yes, I need settings. Yeah, I need passwords. Yes.
So if we have a look here, we've got. So that's the
that's nice.
password page we just saw. I can type stuff. We've got a little directive here. By the way, those screens are generated for 2 reasons. The first one is that we find them useful for nearly everyone. Second thing is that they give you some nice examples of something more complex than a crude app. So here you've got a little directive. So if you want to see a more complex screen than a crude screen, it gives nice examples for people.
Does it have a user registration flow?
Yes, also, I didn't do it because I used the default passwords. We've got default users, which is the user and the admin.
Okay, so
but you can also register. You can also have, if you forgot your password, we can email you a new one.
Cool.
Everything is already done for you.
That's cool. And all this is out of the box.
Everything is out of the box.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's created depending on what you ask for, because you ask for JSON Web Token. If you ask for session-based authentication, it would have been different with some other screens.
Oh, okay. And what else do we have here? We have administration. Okay, what do we have in administration?
Oh, yes. So we've got lots of administration screens out of the box.
Oh, okay, there is user management. That's good. Okay, and we have we have metrics. That's nice. Metrics.
We can have a look at all of them.
Oh, okay.
So metrics, we have metrics using drop wizard metrics. So you have metrics on your JVM, on your HTTP request, on your Spring Beans, on EH cache because we selected EH cache, and your data source because you selected a MySQL data source.
Cool.
And by the way, in production, you can even do a thread dump and have a look at what's locking your thread in production.
Okay. So what else we have?
We've got L screen. So this using basically Spring Boot.
Okay.
Because this is one of the Spring Boot endpoints, but here we've got a specific user interface. We have is a Spring Boot configuration, so that's also Spring Boot, but with
handy.
a UI. Yeah. If I want to have a look at my database, I can see here that we're using a data source and so on.
Okay.
So basically, we do UI on top of Spring Boot for those. Audits is for Spring Security audits, so I can see I logged in.
That's important, yes.
We have the logs, so those you can modify them in real time. It's a bit slow.
Okay. So you can have dynamic log configurations.
Yes, if you have an issue on security, you can say that this one, instead of being in debug mode, you can put it in trace mode, or this, here, org spring framework.security, maybe you want to put it in info.
Oh, okay.
And you just click, and it's in info
this
mode.
Is from Spring Actuator as well?
I don't remember what we did here. I think, no, it's not done by Spring.
No, it's not.
No, it's custom stuff. Yes, because now we remember even when people change stuff. Yes, it's custom stuff. Yeah.
You're not good actors.
Not good actors. And last but not least, and we'll see that afterwards again, we've got a full Swagger documentation on top of our API. So if you're an AngularJS developer, you can have a look at our API and use it from here. It's fully documented, and you can also run it from here. You can try it out and so on. Last but not least, we selected several languages. So we have English, we have French.
France and Hindi as well.
And
That's
Hindi.
cool. That's nice. So, so now, the code looks good. How do you start this up? How do you run this?
Sorry, I just... so once everything is generated, it's quite easy to run it. There are several ways. I told you we were going to see that more in details now. Just before that, I just run them by executing the main file. But usually people use Maven or Gradle. So we've got the usual Maven and Gradle goals. If you want to clean, compile, run, test, everything. I'm just going to show you very quickly that the tests are running. I'm going to close this, disconnect. And so if I use Maven, I use the Maven wrapper and ask it, we clean everything and run the test.
Okay.
By the way, we should have a talk on the Maven wrapper.
Yes.
So what we do is that we generate for you a full Maven configuration or Gradle configuration with a wrapper, which allows us to give you a specific Maven or Gradle version.
So you don't have to have these installed. So as soon as you generate, you can start using them, even without installing Maven or Gradle, using the wrappers.
Yeah, I didn't install it. And if I was working with Deepu, as soon as he clones the project, he will have the same Maven as me. So it's better to work with the same version if we don't want to have bugs.
Right, so that seems to be done. Okay, so We have a full Docker configuration generated. So we generate Docker configuration files for the options you selected, like your database, Elasticsearch, Kafka, Sonar. We generate all of that. It is very useful when you are developing, so that you don't have to install any of this yourself. You can just fire up, if you have Docker installed already, you can just fire up these and you can start using them right away. So very useful, and it is extremely useful when you're doing microservices as well. I think Julien just showed you how the MySQL DB was spawned using Docker, which using the configuration file we generated.
Yeah. We'll see more about that when we will do production and Docker, of course. Now we're going to have, we finished the first demo. Yeah. We're just going to explain you a little bit better the technologies that we support, just to show you the wide number of things options that you can do, the wide number of options, because, of course, even in 3 hours, we can only do 10% of all the options. So first of all, SQL Database, which is the most common usage. As we saw, we can have some different database in development and production. While in development, it's either the same database as in production, or H2. H2, you can use it with a disk-based configuration or in-memory configuration. Well, it all comes down to what you want to do, basically. Personally, I'd rather use MySQL as we are doing here. H2 is more efficient because you don't have to run Docker. Yeah. But then you start it all the time over again, so it takes, I don't know, 1 second. So, and as I said, developer experience is very important for us. So for me, 1 second is like unbearable. I don't like it. In production, you can use some MySQL, MariaDB, PostgreSQL, Oracle. We've got, let's say, informal support for SQL Server. Yeah.
There's a module for that?
Yeah. Oh, yes. We'll talk about modules afterwards, but there's add-ons. And well, the issue for us, as it's a fully open source project, is we have no money to buy Windows and Microsoft SQL Server. So we focus on what we can easily have on Linux and Mac. Okay. To access those databases, we use Spring Data GPA. We're going to have some demos about that afterwards. But Spring Data GPA allows us to have a much cleaner and smaller code. And we will see that it's very, very efficient. And for accessing our data source, we use ICP, which is a new database pool, which is also very, very efficient. So we've had a lot of work on selecting the right components, making them work together, and having metrics for all of them, so we know what's happening.
So you wouldn't need to, even if you're deploying to an enterprise container, you wouldn't have to configure data sources on those, like JBoss or WebLogic. You can directly use this out of the box.
Yeah, everything works.
So we use Liquibase to manage a database. So Liquibase is a Git kind of tool for databases. So we generate the tables and all the relationships, constraints, and everything. We generate Liquibase files for them, and that is what creates the tables for you. So we have a Liquibase goal which is run when the application starts up. It creates the databases. We also have support for Liquibase goals in the Gradle and Maven, so that you can generate your own change logs. Once in a while, if you're doing any manual changes, we will have some demo for that later. Okay, so it is great for if you're working in a team because your database is always up to date. Whoever generates things, there are Liquibase change logs, so your database is always up to date and cataloged. So everything is created by JHipster at generation time, so you don't have to worry about your database. So whatever database you connect to, it will automatically generate your tables and constraints and everything for you using Liquibase.
Yeah, basically that's...
So it's a great tool for developers.
That's what we did here.
Yeah.
So it generated my database, it generated the foreign keys, it generated the indexes, everything was generated for me. But this is just a basic app.
Yeah. You can even load data using Liquibase.
Oh yes, that's how we had the user and admin. Yes. They were loaded by Liquibase. Everything was created by Liquibase, in fact. On top of the database, so we have Hibernate, and with Hibernate, we've got a big work on the second level cache. Yeah. I'm a big fan of that. Yeah.
So we have 3 options here. So you can either go with without any cache, or you can go with EH cache, which is default for monoliths. And soon we will be updating to EH cache 3, which would add support for clustering as well. We have official contributions coming in from EH cache for that as well. We have Hazelcast support, which is great for microservices and for clustered applications, which has a great clustering support. And everything is automatically monitored. You can see stats for all this in the metrics screen as well.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, so by default, the defaults are quite low because we don't know the hardware you will get. So it's very important to have a look at the metrics and then tune the cache. I just wanted to add one thing on EHCache 3. So it's the people from Software AG which are contributing to JHipster for that. And we have the same kind of contributions on the front end from people from Angular, UI, from Webpack. And what's great with the project, and with Liquibase, by the way, the guy doing Liquibase is helping us a lot. What's really good with JHipster is that it's so popular today that we've got all of those people from all of those tools which are coming to help us.
So we have contributors, the main contributors from UI Router, Webpack, Liquibase, EHCache, Hazelcast, all of these people coming in and helping us, Kubernetes.
Yes, also, yes, we'll talk also about Kubernetes and Heroku. And each time we've got contributors from the companies doing it. So it's very, what's really good with JHipster is that the code that is being generated is in fact developed at the beginning by the people doing the real project.
It's kind of official support. Kind of.
Yes, and you can expect that this code is good, obviously. MongoDB support, so if you didn't select an SQL database, you can have a NoSQL database. So we've got two of them. We've got MongoDB, so I'm not going to present MongoDB, of course. One of the interests for me is that it goes a lot faster, so it's great for cloud applications. I'm using it quite often with Heroku, usually. And we have something similar to what we have with SQL databases. So instead of Spring Data GPA, we've got Spring Data MongoDB, and instead of Liquibase, we've got MongoDB. The work here is to have something very similar, and that's not something we do by random luck. The idea is that if you have two teams, which is going to be our example when we do microservices, the two teams have a very, very similar workflow. They work the same way, they have the same workflows, they have the same names for the same thing. And what's important is that, all the microservices will be looking a lot like each other. So when we are in a big team, people can move from one team to the other and still, find everything very easily.
It's a uniform developer experience across.
Yes. Oh, I like it. Uniform developer experience. And that's what a lot of my customers like, is that when you have a JHipster app, everything working the same way all the time. You don't have any surprise. So that's for MongoDB. For Cassandra, it's of course another alternative. We have a huge work on Cassandra because by default, let's say the Cassandra support with Spring and so on is not great.
Probably the only generator or the only framework providing good Cassandra support.
Yes, because we are clearly the only, let's say, fast generator for Cassandra. So if you're doing Cassandra, we are like the only choice.
And most of the Spring Boot Cassandra implementation is contributed from us as well.
Yes. So if you use Spring Boot, the Cassandra support with Spring Boot, at first I did it for a customer, then I put it into JHipster, then we pushed it to Spring Boot, and now it's in Spring Boot. So the Spring Boot Cassandra support comes, in fact, from us. And as we did not have the same thing in Cassandra as in MongoDB and Spring Data GPA, I basically coded the same thing. So we've got our own changelog system and so on. So it's looking a lot like SQL databases and MongoDB, but there is more custom code because it did not exist. So we had to do it.
For the end developer, they still have the same experience.
For the end developer, it's looking a lot the same. And that's the whole idea. So it's a very easy way if you want to get started with Cassandra, because Cassandra can be a little bit frightening. Here we've got, if we go the full way, we create the Docker configuration for Cassandra, we create the Spring Boot Cassandra configuration, we create the repositories, everything is created for you. So it's really an easy way to get started with Cassandra.
Probably JHipster is the easiest way for you to start with Cassandra as well.
Oh yes, I don't know, honestly I don't know any other ways to get started quickly with Cassandra.
Elasticsearch. Okay, so we have support for Elasticsearch as well. It's an optional item which you can select during generation. So it's a very popular option for indexing and searching your entities. So we use Spring Data Elasticsearch as a wrapper on top. So server-side and client-side code for searching entities is added by default. You can improvise on top to add your own custom querying logic or whatever business stuff you want. But the basic search functionality is end-to-end generated. So we use a default embedded server in development. We recommend a Docker image for production turnaround, which we generate as well.
Yes.
We generate the Docker image as well.
Oh, and by the way, so it's an option on top of the others. So you can have MySQL with Elasticsearch, of MongoDB and Elasticsearch.
Yes, you can have these mix and match.
And mix.
Yeah.
That's where you start to see that what we generate is quite complex sometimes. Kafka, so it's another add-on. If you want to have, let's say, a very large number of events, or if you want to do some CQRS code, well, that's what I do for several customers. We just added Kafka support. It's quite basic at the moment. It's not as complete as what we have with Elasticsearch, but it's working with Spring Cloud Stream, so it's again...
it's a new option.
Yes, very new option. And it's also working with Spring Boot. Everything is very similar. And it's mostly used for people doing microservices, of course. So like they have one microservices that sends data, another one which pulls data. And of course, we also generate the Docker configuration for that.
For security, we have a lot of options for security. So when you are generating the app, you can choose between a session-based authentication or an OAuth 2 implementation or JW implementation. This is for monoliths. And for microservices, we have similar options with which we will see later in detail. So for the session-based authentication, it's the default option. It's stateful, it's classical form-based option using Spring Security. We have an improved remember me mechanism over that, which works really well. For OAuth 2, again, it's stateless. It needs a specific backend which works with SQL and MongoDB, and we generate all of that configuration stuff for you. And we generate JWT option as well, which is very good for microservices if you're doing those, which is also the default option for microservices.
Yes. Oh, yes, we don't have the same defaults. If you select, the first question I had is whether you want, well, which type of application you want to do. If you select monolith, you don't have the same options, well, default options as microservices. Yeah. Typically,
so we change those accordingly.
Yes, the default changes logically depending on what you select.
So everything is contextual.
Yes. Internationalization, as we saw, it's well, we do it at the same time on the back end and the front end. We use Angular Translate on the client side. So, well, that's what we basically saying here when I change the language. So this is Angular Translate. We've got a very strong support for it, but we also use it on the server side.
Yeah, the mails are translated.
Yes, if I because the classical issue is let's say I'm logging out. I say I forgot my password, and this is going to send me. Oh, it crashed. Hang on, I crashed it. Ah, sorry, I closed. Ah, that's normal. Sorry, because I stopped my server. Yes. Okay, I'm not going to start it all over again. But if my server was started, it would have allowed me to send an email. And of course, if I selected French, I want my email in French. Yes. If I selected English, I want my email in English.
For the emails and stuff, we do the translation using Java IATN.
Yes, and they are both, of course, working together. Yeah. So you got the same language on the client side and the server side, which is quite also a nice trick. So by default, we've got 26 languages. It's very easy to extend. And of course, you should extend them because we understand that by default, you will not have a welcome JHipster for all your applications. So we'll probably want to extend that. And it's very easy.
If you're adding new languages, contribute back as well.
Yes. A lot of people contribute.
Yeah. So we have shown you Swagger some time back. So we have automatic documentation for all the REST APIs, which is done using Swagger. So it is executable and easy to use. Great for AngularJS developers because you don't have to worry about the backend a lot. You can just go to the Swagger API screen, see what the spec is, and you can develop for that. So great for API developers, client-side developers, to use the application without even knowing the backend. And it works very well for the microservice setup as well. We will show you how it works for the microservice setup. We have some custom configurations to make everything work very well with microservices as well, multiple microservices.
Yeah. And last but not least, WebSockets.
Yes.
We have support for WebSockets because we're hipsters and we want to have the latest tools.
We want all hipster stuff.
It's quite easy to use with, so on the back end, we've got Spring WebSockets. On the front end, it's, let's say, custom code with AngularJS. It's quite, well, once it's generated, it's very easy to use, but without generating it, it's quite complex. Yeah. And to help you, we generate a sample screen, like what we often do, like we saw for the passwords and so on. Yeah. The sample screen is tracking your users live, so you can see what people, where people are clicking and so on, what they are doing, who they are and where they click. So we've got integration with Spring Security. And I think it's a very good example. Of course, this is something that you will want to change and extend because you probably don't want to have the same thing for your business needs.
You can easily extend that to build a chat client kind of thing. I have done that for some of the apps. So it is very easy to use. We do the hard part, setting it up and giving you a sample, so which you can extend. And
change afterwards, depending on your needs. Yes. But this is also a very, very popular option. Okay, back to the demo.
Yes. So, so now we have the app, fine, but it doesn't have much of the functionality I need. So I would like to have a wish list, with a name, a creation date, and all these things. And I would like my users to have wish lists, Yeah, so how can we do that with JHipster?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Client. So yes, so my app, which I've started again, if I log in, oh, sorry, I will put it in English because, so we saw we had security pages, administration pages, but we don't have any business pages yet. So that's what we are going to do now. And we're going to see how we work on JHipster and extend it. I'm just going to launch a couple of tools. Those are things that we will explain afterwards during the talk. Okay. So we have no entities yet. I'm going to create them. And at the beginning, so my client wants a wish list. So it's going to be quite easy.
With a name, creation date. I want it to be, I want every user to have a wish list.
Okay. So let's go to, let's go to Devox. Let's put it bigger. So Devox store. So I'm inside my application. I'm going to use a subgenerator. So we have the main generator, and we've got subgenerators to help us improve our application. Okay. And the first one, the most popular one, is the entity subgenerator. So you can use it with your JHipster entity. But as I said, I'm using MyZSH. I'm not going to type all this thing because it's annoying. I'm just using shortcuts. Okay. So the first one you want, forgot one thing, very, very important. I always forget, and that nobody should forget. Git. Before doing anything, save. Because if you fail, you will be very happy to be able to come back. We generate by default also a full Git configuration, so we've got git ignore, everything is set up. So you just do git add and git commit, initial commit. Great. So now I can reset if I do any mistake.
You want to push it up or?
Oh yes, if you have Wi-Fi, what I'm going to do is do it live. So on the JHipster organization, I'm going to create a new repository called the Devox 2016. And I'm going to push it. So you can see live what I'm doing if you have internet access. Let's have a look. It's here. Okay. So if you want to see live what we are doing, you can code with us. Okay, so I wanted to do a wish list.
Yes.
Let's do it. Let's say, so your JHipster entity, the first one is a wish list. And it's going to ask me questions again. So what did you want? You wanted a name?
Yeah, I want to have a name. I want it to have a creation date.
So the name, it's a string?
Yeah.
It's required?
Yes.
You want it to have a
creation date.
Creation date.
Yes, so that I know when it was created.
Oh, yes, of course. Creation date. So it's a local date.
Yes.
Let's not validate it. So. And you wanted a third one? Oh, yes, there's a hidden field. You know, if you want to hide your wish list.
Yes.
And this one is a Boolean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just to show that we've got different options.
Okay.
So here, basically, I'm doing a table with some attributes and some validation rules and some types. This is my main table, and you wanted it per user, if I remember.
Yes, I want my users to have wish lists.
Okay, and the good thing is that we already have a user, which is done for Spring Security. So I'm going to add a relationship to the user entity.
Okay.
It's a managed one. You know, one user can have many wish lists. And it's going to use the login of the user to be shown in the Dublin list.
Yeah, that would be nice.
We could do something more complex, but let's do something easy. After that, I'm going to put everything by default because we will have a more detailed demo after that. If I come to my app, well, what has been generated here? If I go to the domain, we can see we've got a wish list, which is here.
That's nice.
With indeed what you asked for, so a name, creation date, hidden field.
Okay.
We've got bin validation. We've got we've got everything you asked for with a good type, everything.
We have the relationship as well.
We've got the relationship, manage one to the user.
Okay, that's nice.
We generated, of course, the Liquibase changelog.
Oh, the tables as well. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so the table is generated. And the constraint to the user table, because you asked for it.
Yes.
Of course, we generated a repository for it with Spring Data GPS, so it's quite small. We generated a REST endpoint.
Oh, okay.
A wish list resource. And we generated, of course, the AngularJS front end. Well, the best thing is just to have a look at it. If I just come back to my app here, it's already here, and I can already use it.
You didn't have to do any compilation or anything. Everything is automatic.
Well, I clicked on compilation. A lot of people make it automatic, but just for the show, I'm clicking so people know what I do.
But still, everything is being loaded automatically.
As soon as I generate something, so we will see afterwards how we synchronize the front end, but the front end is automatically synchronized. And the back end, as soon as I compile stuff, we've got Spring Boot DevTools which regenerates everything. Okay. And as we use Liquibase, Liquibase also runs. And by the way, if I come back here to my database, if I refresh it, we can see we've got the wish list here, which is created.
So you didn't have to restart anything?
Well, it restarted behind the scenes automatically. So yes, it kind of restarted, but we don't really see it.
Magic.
Yes, that's a whole developer experience stuff. And now I've generated everything. Let's git add it.
No, that's good.
Git commit, add the wish list, and git push it.
Okay. So you have already created the wish list for me.
So we have the wish list.
Yeah.
Let's play a little bit with it.
Yes. How does it work?
I did the first one. Let's say this is the admin's wish list, or birthday. I created it some time ago, and it's linked to the admin. And another one for the user, it's the user's Christmas. So I created it here. It's used by the user. So yeah, that's cool. I've got two wish lists, one for the admin, one for the user.
But I'm logged in as the admin, right?
Yes.
Why am I seeing the user's wish list? I should only see my wish list.
Oh, yes. So sorry. So by default, so JHipster is just a technical tool. So it doesn't know that you have this business need. So of course, you're saying all the wish lists for everyone. So a common use case would be indeed to filter them. So what we generated here, let's have a look at the REST API. When we go to the get all wish list, so this is the REST API to get all the wish list. In fact, I'm using Spring Data GPA, and I just do find all the wish list. So in fact, that's quite bad because in my use case, I only want to see my own wish list. So what's good here is that this is quite a common use case. We already created the method for you. You ask your entity to be linked to your user. So we know that, well, usually what you want to do is filter by user. So we already created this method for you. So if I just, oh, hang on, I'm just adding a little note. You will see what later. I'm just saying, hello, Devox. So we remember what we did here. You will remember that. So as soon as I make my project, it's going to restart my app automatically.
That's nice.
And well, as soon as I come here I need to reload. Okay. And usually, so I'm the admin, I should only see the admin's birthday wish list. Let's start. Yes, I don't see the user anymore.
That's nice.
So that's done. Let's git add it, git add, git
always
commit.
Good to add and commit.
Limit the list to the user.
Okay.
Git push. Great.
That's nice. Okay, so yeah, the wish list looks good, but I would also like to add wishes. I would like to add some wishes to the wish list. Now the wish list is empty. I would like to have wish, which I can add to the wish list.
Okay, so you would like something more complex.
Yes.
So in your wish list, you got wishes.
Yes. I would have product IDs, price, all these in my wishes, and I could have my wish paginated, so I can have a lot of wishes. Then I can add all these wishes to my wish list, so I can create wish lists.
Okay. So I'm of course, Mr. Client, I'm going to do all that for you very quickly. We'll go through the slides afterwards, because we've got, let's say theory after that, but let's code it first. So we created a wish list. Now I'm going to create a wish.
Okay.
So the wish, it has got a product ID, because it's going to be linked to a product ID, which is of type long, which is validated. Yes, you want it. And it has got a price, which is a big decimal.
Okay.
And the price is required with a minimum of 0, quite obviously. And then, yes, of course, you want a relationship to the wish list. So I'm going to link it to the wish list. And it's a many to one. There are many wishes for one list. And we're using the name of the wish list to display that. And now we're going to see the more complex options. We'll have slides for that, but let's have a look at the code first. The first question is, do you want to use data transfer objects? So those are very popular if you want to do something more complex than just a crude app. So usually people want to do that. It's still in beta because we use something called mapstruct from JBoss. It's really, really good. It's working very well. But we've got a very few edge cases. Yeah. And we are very, let's say, we don't take any risk. So as soon as something is not totally perfect, we keep it in beta.
But if you have a complex use case, it is advisable to use the DTO and
yes,
change that accordingly.
A lot of people are using that. I'm not taking the beta options now, but you can. Same thing if you want something more complex than a crude app, probably you want to have a service layer.
Yes.
So by default, we just have a REST controller talking to your repository. That's what we did with the wish list. For the wish, it's more complex. We're going to have a service layer. And you can either have just a service class or a service interface and an implementation. I find this totally useless, but a lot of architects like it. So if you are a big architect, maybe you won't click on that. But I'm just doing a service class. So I will have a Spring Bean for doing my business logic, which is better. And you wanted pagination. Yes. So we've got some pagination options. We'll use pagination links because I find it pretty.
Okay.
I'm generating everything. And here I tell it to make the project. And as soon as I come back to my app, which is here, the wish is here. The error is that it's not running yet on the server.
I can put the other side relation.
Yeah, it just took 5 seconds maybe. So I've got the product ID 1000, price ID 10, wish list is admin birthday. That's the only wish list I have, and I can create it.
Okay.
So here I've got my wish list. I'm very happy about that. Okay. So I can have wish list, I can have wishes. Or as you can see, we generate the plurals correctly.
Oh, that's nice. So let's look at the options we have.
Yes, let's do the theory now.
So
what we just saw.
Yeah. So when you create an entity using the entity subgenerator, it creates the Liquibase changelogs for you, which would create the tables. It would create a Spring Data JPA repository with the required basic queries as methods. It would even generate custom queries if you have a relationship with the user. It would create the AngularJS client-side CRUD screen for you. It would create the IATN files for you, the JSON files for translation. It will create tests. If you have Gatling, it will create a Gatling test, and it will also create integration tests. If you have Protractor, it will create Protractor tests for you. So it will do an end-to-end generation for that particular entity. And if you have relationships, those will be added accordingly as well. So.
And the tip is to use Git all the time.
Always use Git so that you can roll back if something goes wrong. Yeah. Don't blame us if you mess it up. Rely on Git.
Yes. Sometimes we have people who run like tens of generations, and then they say, "Oh, okay, like 2 hours ago I did the mistake." Like.
Yes.
So when you use the entity subgenerator, as we saw, you can create some fields. So they're created one after each other. We have got lots of types. Of course, those types depend on your database. You don't have the same types with Cassandra. You can use a UUID, for example, with Cassandra. You don't have the same types depending on the database. We have validation. So validation is on 3 parts. We use AngularJS validation. That's why if I come back to my app here, sorry. Here we can see the field is required. So this is Angular validation. And if I type, and I can't type letters, because this is also forced by the front end. And if I, so this is for the front end. For the back end, we use bin validation. So this is used both by Spring MVC REST and Hibernate. So it's validated on the server side. And we even generate the database constraints. So it's also forced on the database. So everything is logical and correct and working together.
So for relationships, it works only with SQL databases. We are discussing about MongoDB and stuff, but
yes.
Yeah. But currently it works only with SQL databases. So all JPA relationship types are supported: one-to-one, many-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-many. Bidirectional relationships by default. But you can see that Julien created a unidirectional just now. So for most of the cases, that will work as well. But when you do unidirectional relationship, you might encounter some edge cases because all default options are bidirectional. Yeah. Multiple relationship on the same 2 entities is also supported.
Yeah. And that's why it asked me for the name of the relationship. So I could have 2 relationships between the wish and the wish.
Between the same entities, yes.
Which is a strong use case, but it happens. Yes, we've got just one specific entity. It's the one we generated at the very beginning. It's linked to Spring Security. As we generate security for you, we've got a user, which is here. So it's the only specific entity we have. So it's used by Spring Security, but you can also use it yourself. And most people do. That's what I just did. You can do many-to-one, many-to-many, and one-to-one relationships, but when they are unidirectional, if you want to do something bidirectional, of course, you need to modify the user entity, which is my tip just after that. Of course, if you modify it, as it's an entity generated by JHipster, you can have some issues when you upgrade your version of JHipster. So some people do it and do the upgrade themselves. Some people generate another entity, I called it custom user, with a one-to-one relationship to the Spring Security user. So there are several ways to do it on our, we've got lots of tips on that, lots of people having different ideas, but it's not such a big deal. So usually you can use it without much trouble like I just did.
Okay. Of the options, so once you are done with field generation and relationships, you will be asked for few options are there, like you would be asked questions for those. So the first one would be DTO. So we use, as Julien already said, we use Mapstruct for that. Very useful if you are building very complex applications and if you are merging multiple entities to be shown on a same screen, those kind of things, you would have to use DTOs. And you can add business logic there. You can separate your vLayer from your persistence. It helps with lazy loading issues. So all that for all those use cases, you can use DTOs. So Mapstruct is an annotation processor. So that means it would use a Maven plugin or a Gradle plugin to process that. So most IDEs, like IntelliJ, Eclipse, all these, they support annotation processor. So it shouldn't be that much of an issue. So yeah.
Usually it works well.
Yeah, usually it works well, but there could be some edge cases.
Then other options that we just saw, we can have a service layer. So for the same reason, for business application, you want something more complex than a CRUD. So here we just generate a CRUD app. You probably want to extend that. Yeah. The service layer is a good place to extend it. It usually works with DTOs, but you have the choice to use it without a DTO. That's what I just did. It really depends on what you'd rather do. The Spring Bean that is being generated is well, it's fully secure, transactional. You have monitoring, you have everything which comes with JHipster. Let's just show. So I just generated the wish service. So the wish service. So it's a Spring Bean. It's transactional, and well, we can see it has for the moment just the CRUD, usual CRUD options. But here I'm going to be able to add business logic here. That's what we will do in the demo. And so yes, you've got the option to use just the implementation or the interface and the implementation. And I just use the implementation because that's what I like to do.
Okay. Then you have pagination options. We would generate pagination configuration for you using Spring's pagination support on the back end and using some Angular plugins on the front end. So you can either use a simple pager with only back, next kind of buttons, or you can use pagination links with the page numbers and all those options, or you can go with infinite scroll if you want to have that kind of implementation. So infinite scroll kind of implementation is mostly preferred in mobile views, which works very well in that. So depending on your business needs, you can choose pagination. Currently, we don't have pagination for Cassandra.
Yeah, but it's a technical issue with Cassandra.
Technical issue.
You should not do count with Cassandra.
Yeah, because the Spring pagination doesn't.
Well, the Spring pagination uses counts, and if you do a count with Cassandra, and if you know Cassandra, you know it's a very bad idea. Yeah. Unless you have a counter, but that's another story.
Okay. So if you have, very useful if you have a lot of data. If client-side pagination doesn't work in those kind of situations, like when you have huge amount of data, then server-side pagination is ideal there. So,
oh yes, a common issue I have with people send me is that they didn't use pagination. They did Gatling test and they put lots of data. Yeah. And of course, as they don't have pagination, they grab all the data all the time, so it's not very efficient. Yes. So if you want to do some performance testing and you insert tons of data, well, you should use pagination, of course. It's like a logical thing. Last but not least, you can regenerate an entity. As you saw, I created a wish and a wish list. If I ask for the wish to be created again, now I've got new questions, because it sees that the wish already exists. So now I can add fields or relationships, or I can remove them. It should not be in beta. It works all the time. I haven't seen any issue with that.
Yeah. We should remove it from beta.
Yeah, so. This should not be beta. It works. And so, of course, you can add and remove fields and relationships. So if you messed up and you don't use Git, you have this option, which is quite nice.
And we are currently discussing about adding remove entity support as well.
Yes. So, yes, because all the, we'll talk more about this kind of issue, but you can already understand that when you do lots of questions and answers, you can mess up. Yes. And it's very annoying if you have to start up all over again. So now we've got more and more ways to help you with that. And so you can mess up things without too many issues. And yes, there are lots of advanced users which are not even using the questions and answers. And as we have 3 hours, I can show here our configuration files. So those are specific JHipster files in the .jhipster folder. And if I open the wish, this is our JSON configuration. So advanced users usually just touch those files, because if you have a look at them, well, basically, it's the question and answers. You remember I said no to DTO? Well, DTO, no. I said I just want a service class. Well, service class. and so on. I wanted pagination, I've got the basic pagination. So in fact, when you know this, it's kind of easy to modify it instead of doing the question and answers. So in fact, many people don't.
There are advanced options, like you can have a custom table name by using a flag when you generate an entity. There are such advanced options. You can always find all those advanced flags and options in a website on the documentation page.
Yeah, or if you run with --help, you get all the advanced options. Yeah. Here we only see the normal options. There are tons more that we don't see.
Because if we start covering all the options, we wouldn't have enough time.
Yeah, we don't need 3 hours, but 3 days if you want all the options. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so,
Mr. Client.
Yeah, I'm the client now. So, seems like you have generated using a specific version of JHipster. What if I want all the latest updates and stuff? How can I upgrade the application now?
Oh, yes. Thank you, Mr. Client, for this question. In fact, when I installed JHipster, I installed an older version. I did it on purpose because I wanted to do the upgrade. And there's a new JHipster version, 3.10.0, which is quite nice. There's one interesting thing that we all want. If I go to my REST API, because we are hipsters, here, as you can see, I'm using @ request mapping.
Yes.
You probably all know this from Spring MVC REST. That's cool, but it's 3 lines. And since the latest version of Spring, I don't know how old it is, but it's very, very young. There are some new annotations which are much smaller. So I would like to have the new annotations. That would be a lot better.
Yes. And all the bug fixers and all those things.
Yeah, I would like everything to be updated. And if you remember well, I also modified some code here. So I'm going to ask, well, the best thing to have a look is here. Here what I would like to have, in fact, is everything upgraded, including this, which should be removed to the new version. But I would like to have here my code, my business code, to stay here.
Yes.
So I'm going to run the JHipster upgrade process. As I'm a little bit frightened of what's going to happen with IntelliJ, I'm closing it. Because what we do is a little bit, let's say, advanced on Git.
IntelliJ will complain about file locks and stuff.
So I'm just going to say, your JHipster, oh, sorry.
You need to...
Git status.
Yes.
Did I commit everything? Yes, everything is clean. So I'm going to do npm install generator JHipster at 3.10.0. So I'm installing the latest version. Should take 10 seconds, so we should be able to wait for that. And once it's launched, I will ask for another subgenerator. So we saw the entity subgenerator. We've got the upgrade subgenerator.
It's done.
Your JHipster upgrade. Let's run it first and talk later, because it takes like, I don't know, 3 minutes to run. What it saw, so there's a new version, 3.10.0. Locally, we generated the app with 3.9.1. So what it's going to do is it's going to generate both apps with both versions in separate Git branches. It's going to merge them. And if we don't have any conflicts, well, the upgrade should be automatic.
Yeah. If you have some conflicts, then you would have to manually fix those conflicts. That is usual when we use Git.
Yes, so, it's usual Git stuff. Well, the conflicts you could have, for example, we saw the @ request mapping. Maybe I did myself the upgrade. So we will have changed the same line as JHipster. So of course I will have a conflict here. But as I changed it myself, I coded it myself, I should be able to fix the conflict myself, because it's my own code. So just can take some time. Should we go on?
I think I can talk about the...
Go on.
Already spoke about that. So I think it would have completed by now.
Let's have a look.
NPM seems to be, it's almost there.
Yeah, it's almost there. Oh, hang on. What I'm going to do, I'm going to open it with Atom, because I think Atom will be less annoying than IntelliJ. Where is it exactly? It's finished. No, sorry, it's not the right one.
It's last NPM run?
Yeah, last NPM run. Yeah, it takes quite a lot of time because it generates the apps twice for both versions, and then it tries to merge everything. So generating the apps twice, which is taking some time.
This should be faster.
Yeah, that's why we wanted to migrate to Yarn. With
Yarn should be much faster.
It should be like automatic. Well, not automatic, but just a few seconds instead of a couple of minutes. Let's move on and come back when it's finished, because I don't know how much time it will take.
Yeah, I think we can talk about we can talk about this.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about this and come back. Setting up a good development environment. What we did for the moment is we generated a basic app. We added a couple of entities, worked a little bit on them. But of course, when you work, you want to do something more than that. And at some point, well, JHipster is going away, and you have to do your real work. And for us, developer experience is like the most important thing. We want to have a great developer experience. So we make a lot of efforts to have everything working automatically. As you saw, I had Outreload working all the time, and it should work all the time automatically. The IDEs should be, have Outreload for your code. We have Docker Compose for everything. So each tool you select, well, is already configured with Docker Compose. So as soon as you have Docker, which everybody should have, then it's very easy to install. If you want Kafka, Consul, Elasticsearch, anything that we talked about, it's just Docker Compose up, and it's going to work. So it's really all about having a great development experience.
Yes. So we use Spring Dev Tools by default on Dev profile, and if you're using a prod profile, that wouldn't be enabled. So Spring Boot Dev Tools, automatically reloads your application when there are class file changes. So that is really very nice when you're developing stuff, as you saw earlier. So when Julien was adding entities and stuff, he didn't have to do much work. He just had to compile, and even that part you can automate. If you use Eclipse or something, you can just hit save, or you can automate that in IDEA as well. So that saves a lot of time in restarting your app server or your application, refreshing your front end. So Spring Dev Tools, along with Gulp and browsing on the front end, gives you a smooth developer experience. So So hot reload is very quick with the new Spring Dev Tools. It's 2 to 4 seconds normally. So even the Liquibase part, which creates the tables, is done by the Dev Tools. So your tables are also automatically created if you create new entities. So you can configure your IDE to automatically compile when there are changes. So that will make it even faster. So you can keep on coding your changes, and everything will keep on updating. So that's a very nice developer experience.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing at the beginning of this demo, and what now we will do again, but we will see it in much more detail. So just to come back to the upgrade, so it finished. We didn't have any conflict. And if I come back to my wish list, you see now I've got the new Spring Boot annotations at put mapping, at get mapping. So that's the new Spring Boot annotations. But remember, I coded hello devox with my specific business code, and it works. So I did not have any match conflicts, so I could upgrade without doing anything. So here, Mr. Client, I just upgraded your app to the latest version of Spring Boot and everything, and just worked out of the box. So that was a nice experience, by the way.
Okay.
Spring Data GPA, so it's part of the, let's say, developer experience thing. Spring Data GPA, I don't know if you're all used to it. It generates SQL requests for you, depending on your Java method names. So you just type the name of the method you like, and it's going to generate the correct SQL request. And that's great to use if you use it with your IDE, with Outreload and everything. So that's what I'm going to do now.
Add some security for that.
Yes. So we have a small issue. Oh, sorry. I didn't start my server. So of course, if you don't start it, it doesn't work. So I'm starting it with Spring Boot DevTools. So it's going to be Outreload. I'm going to keep it here because I want to do the demo of the Outreload stuff. And I'm going to start So gulp, and we will talk about this just afterwards. It started, not yet. Come on, start. Okay. So Mr. Client, when I go to the wish list, there's in fact an issue, but we didn't see it before. I'm telling it to you because I'm an honest developer. You see, I limited my entries to the admin, so that was your question. But in fact, when I create a wish list, well, I could still create a wish list for someone else, which is not not really good.
That is not good.
Not good. And then when I go to a wish, I could also create a wish to that other guy's list. So that's really not good at all.
That is not good for security. Yes.
So the idea here is that I should limit the wishes when I save to the current user. Because, here the list is just filtered on the client side. On the server side, of course, we don't have any control yet. So we've got a security issue, and I would like to solve it. And when I'm going to solve it, we're going to see a simple use case of Spring Data, and of course, how Spring DevTools is working with JHipster.
Okay.
So what I need to do is go to the wish.
Yes. Wish list.
Go to the wish. So here is my wish, and the wish
list
resource. I want to here when I create a wish, I want to validate that the wish belongs to the current user. And for that, well, I'm going to have to do some code. So that's our first demo of coding a generated application. So it's good to do it here.
You could do it in the wish list as well.
I could,
Better do it in the wish list.
No, because we generated on purpose a wish service.
Yes.
I want to do it in my business code.
Okay.
That's the idea. Here, I want to save a wish. We ask to have some business service with the wish service, and the good way to do it is here, because I've got transactions and security and everything here. So here now, when I'm going to save a wish, what I want to do is first, take the wish list that was asked by the user, wish list. And for that, so here I'm going to use Spring Data GPA. I'm going to inject my wish list repository. And so I didn't code this one. Let's have a look. As you see, it's kind of empty. It extends GPA repository. And this is what Spring Data GPA does. So, I can close. That's not very useful. Okay. So the wishlist repository was kind of empty, but thanks to Spring Data GPA, I've got some basic methods which have been generated. I can say get one, because I know there's only one, and I'm going to take the wish sent by the user, so get the wish list, get the ID, and this is going to get the wish list that the user asked for. And of course, if this wish list doesn't belong to the current user, there's going to be an error. So I'm going to take this wish list, get user, get login. So this is thanks also to Hibernate, of course. So if it does not equals the current user, and for that, we've got a security utils configuration generated by JHipster that can give you the current user login.
Okay.
So if the wish list doesn't belong to the user, then I'm going to throw a Spring security exception, new access denied exception. You should not do this. You shall not pass. And of course, once this is coded, I just make the project. Oh, hang on, just to show you, because I wanted to show you the Spring Boot DevTools. So when I build, automatically it's going to restart just my Spring application, so not the whole JVM.
Yeah.
And that's why it
reloaded the application.
It's getting so fast.
Yeah.
It took usually it's between 2 and 3 seconds, but probably it's because I've got lots of things running. But it's quite fast, and that's why as a developer,
4 seconds is fast.
Yeah, 4 seconds is not fast for me, but
it
should be faster.
I'm on a Windows. So
okay.
It's fast.
And of course, I should, as always, git add, git commit, limit wishes, and git push it. So here I've secured my wishes using Spring Data GPA.
That's great.
And I think you have another question.
Yes. So, okay. Can we see like?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. But still, I'm able to see others' wishes, right?
Oh, yeah.
Shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah. There's an issue if I log in with the user. User. So the user cannot create a wish on the wish list of the admin, but he can still see the admin's wishes, which is not really good.
Okay.
So we have a bug.
Yes.
We have another bug. No, I'm going to create a wish for the user also, so we see it's working. So here we have wishes from both the user and the admin, and I'm just the user, so that's not really good. So for this, we're going to do more advanced Spring Data GPA, just to show how easy it is to work with this.
So you need to work on the.
So I need to work on
service.
On the
service, right? Which service?
Yes. It's just everything is at the same place on the wish service. Instead of finding all the wishes for everyone, I want to only see the wishes for the current user. So it's kind of the same issues we had at the beginning, but the wish list was linked to the user, so it was easy to list, to filter it. But now the wish is linked to the wish list, which is linked to the user. So that's a more complex query. And thanks to Spring Data GPA, all I have to do is say, so I want to find them all by wish list. So I want to find and limit them on the wish list. The wish list is linked to a user, and the user has got a login. So in fact, I want to have all my wishes by the wish list, .the user, .the login. And I want it to
pass the login.
And I need, of course, to pass the login, which is, of course, the only parameter I will want. And of course, well, the other parameter is the pagination, because I want everything to be paginated and sorted, which always work. That's also Spring Data GPA doing this. So let's take the user login again. Of course, this method does not exist. I just typed what looked correct to me. I'm just asking IntelliJ to generate. I just build. And Spring Boot DevTools, again, is going to run. We'll see if it does less than 4 seconds this time. Yes, yeah, 3 seconds. 3 seconds and 5. It's not as fast as what I would like. And if I restart here, I only see my wishes. So we can see that I coded quite a complex SQL query in my business layer, well, very easily. And I just had to compile, and everything worked out of the box.
So that is some Spring Data magic.
Yes, with Spring DevTools, everything working together. And the good thing when everything is working together is that as a developer, well, I don't have to spend too much time on this. Well, your business cases are coded very, very quickly.
Okay. So, but still, right, when I create a wish list, I shouldn't be asked to enter a date and stuff. That should be automatic, right? And the user, why should I have to link to the user? It should be automatically linked to the logged in user.
Oh.
So that is kind of weird, right?
Sorry, yes, sorry. Of course, Mr. Client. Yes, we've got another use case here. As a user, so I'm the admin again, and I do create a wish list, because, well, most of our issues were from here. Well, I can select my user, which is a bit stupid because I'm the admin. I can only use the admin stuff. So it should be automatically selected.
Yes.
And the creation date is a bit stupid because,
of course, it should be automatic as well, yes.
It should be now. So let's have a look at something a bit more complex with JHipster, because we just saw Spring Data, which is, let's say, basic stuff. Let's go back to the service. No. Let's go back to the wish list. Wish list, because that's the wish list resource. So this is my REST endpoint for the wish list. So it's the one which is doing this.
Okay.
When I click on save,
okay,
this is going to go through.
Save.
So it's a post create a new wish list.
Yes.
Yes, it's going to be here. And here, well, just saving what you sent me. And of course, well, you can send me any date or any user, and that's not good. So let's make it a little bit better. Oh, yeah. Oh. We are cheating. Because I did something quite small. Okay. Here, what we have with Spring Data GPA is that we save the wish list that was sent directly by the user. And of course, we would like something, well, more easier by auto-completing the username, or the user, and the creation date. What we can do here on the wish list, I can put .user. When you say I can put a user here, I have to inject,
User service.
Yeah, the user service to have access to the user object. Private user service. So I just put user service dot get user. And you also want the creation date, which is automatic, dot creation date, and it's going to be now, so local date now. So what we are doing here, try to be a little bit prettier, is using a Fluent API. By default, with GPA, you don't have a Fluent API, and we have a good talk with people from the Hibernate team, and this is something you can do, in fact, with the GPA and Hibernate, and we generate, well, either a Fluent API or not if you don't want to have this new shiny stuff. But with the Fluent API, and we'll see a lot of that afterwards because that's what we are using all the time, here the wish list sent by the user, I just put .user, I change the user, .creation date now, and that sends back the new wish.
Yeah. So the Fluent API is very useful when you are doing a lot of coding. Like it makes your code more elegant, less code, and
so I can put everything in one line instead of saying love to setter and so on.
You can daisy chain kind of, setters.
Yeah, you also generate them, but you don't need to use them anymore.
Yes.
So it's a lot smaller and quicker. So once again, it started up in 3 seconds. And now if I come back here, to my app, YOLO, I'm not filling up the creation date or the user, so it's going to be now and the admin. And as you can see, YOLO is creation date and user. Oh, I clicked on Eden. Should not have clicked there. So automatically, I've got the creation date and the user which are filled in. So that's
nice.
That's nice. Should we go on the slides and we'll do that just at the end?
Yeah, we can just finish those 2 slides.
Yes. So we talked about Fluent methods in GPA entities. So that's coming from Hibernate, in fact. As you can see, those Fluent methods allows you to code in a much more concise way, so we love it. And that's what we generate by default. And that's one of the options that you can change if you don't like it.
Okay. Do you want to do this? We have to.
Yeah, but we are just here.
Yeah. Okay.
That's perfect. And last but not least.
Yeah, so Liquibase. Okay, so the change logs generated by Liquibase are like can also be hand-coded. That means you can edit the change logs, and then you can use the Maven or Gradle goal. For Maven, we have a Liquibase diff goal, and we have an equivalent for Gradle. You can use that goal to generate automatic change logs based on the edits you have done. So it will compare your change logs against your database, and it will generate whatever is missing as a new change log. So that is something very useful when you are doing manual edits. So we're just showing how you can do that as well. But if you're doing more complex thing, or if you want an end-to-end kind of field, say for example, if you want to add a field to an entity, and if you want to have the end-to-end code, then better you use the regenerate entity option. But if you just want to add a field to the backend, then you can directly add it to the entity and to the changelog and get the changelog generated using the Liquibase diff goal.
Yeah. So Mr. Client.
So I think I would like to have a priority field only at the backend.
Yes, for your wishes.
Yes.
Because you would like to order the wishes.
Yes.
Oh. And so I'm not using JHipster for that.
Okay.
We could, of course, but it's just to show you, all the tooling that was generated and which is ready for you. So, I'm already on the right place. I'm going to go to the wish. And here, so you would like to have a priority, private int priority. I'm generating the getters and setters. You don't need to, but otherwise it's useless. Priority. And let's just save this. So here I just created an attribute on an entity without using JHipster. And what I would like to have is to have this priority field generated on my database. The issue with it is that as we didn't use JHipster, and I'm just going to the wish just to show you. Oh, need to refresh. Refresh all. So the wish doesn't have here a priority. And I would like to do it without JHipster.
Okay. So you would add the column annotations manually?
Well, you can do it manually if you want to. So basically, you go to Liquibase here, resources, config, Liquibase, changelog. And so those changelogs are created. Those changelogs are generated by JHipster. And you can do them manually if you want to. But that's, of course, a bit annoying. If I just open it one, like it's lots of XML, well, you can code it. You've got auto-completion, but still that's annoying. And what is being generated by default with JHipster is we have Liquibase working automatically for us. If I can see Maven. So here we've got a Liquibase plugin that has been configured for us. And if I just call diff, what it's going to do is that here Liquibase is going to compare my Java code, my database, and generate the correct changelog to have the difference. So you remember we created a priority of type int. Let's have a look at the changelog that was created. Yes, it's a priority of type int on the table wish. So that's good.
Nice.
And if I want to use it, so it's not added by default because we know you want to play with that. Because here we are in manual mode. So we've got a master file for Liquibase. And basically, you just add it here. Copy reference. Paste. And as soon as I make the project again, well, Liquibase is going to run again. So if I come here, so you see I don't have a priority. I just refresh. And I've got a priority. So as you can see, if you don't want to use, if you want to do advanced stuff and not use JHipster all the time, we have configured all the tooling. So it's very easy for you to upgrade the app, to work on it in a very fluent way. And
basically what we generate is as if it is same as what you would code. So you can do whatever you want with the generated code base, as if you have coded it on your own. So, we removed the creation time and the user. But what about the front end? I still see those things in the front end. Shouldn't it be removed there as well?
Oh, yes. Sorry, Mr. Client. In fact, yes, we worked on the back end, but we didn't work on the front end. So here, we still have the creation date and the user, and we should not have them on the front end. We only worked on the back end. We showed you that everything was auto-reloaded. Of course, we've got also auto-reload on the front end. That's what we are going to see right now. Let me try to have a good configuration for that. Because I need to have both screens next to each other, so it looks good. Yes. So here, this is on my left screen. I've got the creation date and the user. I don't want them anymore. And on the right, I've got my IDE. I'm going to open up. So this is the wish list HTML file. Oh, sorry. Wish list dialog. The dialog box. So if I have a look at my dialog box, let's put it smaller. I don't want to get smaller. If I go to my dialog box, we can find here what is on the screen. For example, here I've got the user. So let's just delete the user. If I hit save, it's reloaded, and as you can see, the user disappeared. And you wanted also to remove the creation date. It's here. Let's remove it. And it's saved. And so now, well, we can do what you wanted. And it's going to work. What we are using is a technology called browser sync. So each time I change something in the HTML, JavaScript, JSON, anything, my browser is getting automatically reloaded. So of course, for developing, it's a lot easier for me. And so that's the first thing it does. The second thing it does, which is really awesome, is that it synchronizes your browser. So what I like to do, usually, is that I have two browsers. This is for, sorry. This one is for desktop. This one is for mobile. And of course, I want to work on both. And so what browser sync is doing is that it's going to synchronize my clicks. So if I go to the, let's say, password field, you see both of them are the password. Oh, sorry, not the password, the settings is better. It synchronizes my clicks. It synchronizes when I type. So you can see it's synchronized on both. And it synchronizes also when I scroll. So if I go to metrics here, it scrolls on both. So when I'm working, I like to have several browsers, to have several screen size, and I can work with everything live. And of course, everything is live reloaded when I change my HTML. So we saw that for the backend, everything was automatically restarted, and for the front end, it's exactly the same thing. So I've got a very, very good developer experience here.
So end-to-end, it is a seamless developer experience. You would only have to code. You don't have to worry about reloading your browser, reloading your container. Everything happens automatically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's go on.
So we use Bower for client-side dependency management, at least for the AngularJS version, AngularJS 1 version. So any JavaScript CSS libraries can be installed using Bower, and we have gulp tasks to automatically take care of injecting them into your HTML accordingly. So you'd have to. So once you do a Bower install, if you have gulp serve running, then it would automatically take care of injecting everything using browser sync and stuff. But if you don't have that running, make sure to run gulp a task called gulp install yourself, so that everything is being injected into your HTML. So say, for example, for this app, let's say the theme doesn't look so nice. Let's say we change to a better theme.
OK. So I was going git push. My commit is wrong, but not very important. Yes. So the issue we have here is that Mr. Client, that
doesn't look very attractive. Yeah, I need a hip theme.
So you will have
I would have some kind of material design kind of
bootstrap material design.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to type this. And we're going to have to. So as we are using gulp, and as you said, it's going to be auto-reloaded. So I'm going to try to have everything. Yes, so you can see everything. Yes. So I'm going to type bow install bootstrap material and save it. And if I just click here, it's installing it. Gulp is seeing it, injecting it. Oh, sorry, I need to select jQuery because I've got a version conflict. That's very important. And it crashed.
No.
Yeah. Oh, I did a reload.
Oh.
Should not have crashed, but well.
That happens sometimes.
And so now everything is with the new design. I can type.
Since we are on Bootstrap, I think it's easier to change between Bootstrap themes. We even have a few modules to do Bootstrap themes, boot swatch themes, material design themes. We have a few modules for that as well.
Yeah. OK. So that part of the demo is over. Let's talk a little bit about everything that we saw.
And after this section, we can have a break.
And yeah, do we have time for a break?
I think we can have a small one.
Yeah.
After section 3.
After section 3, we have a very small break.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at what we just did. So we used, in fact, some for development, and we will soon see production. We've got some specific profiles that we have configured for you. In fact, we've got two, one for development, one for production. They are both Spring profiles and Maven or Gradle profiles, so that everything works together. So currently I'm in dev mode, so the focus is on developer experience, so everything is auto-loaded, everything is really nice for developers. We will see, well, just after the production profile, which focuses on best performance for production. So it will work in a whole different way to have better performance in production. We've got some other profiles, like Swagger or removing Liquibase and so on, for more advanced use cases.
So for AngularJS, for the current version, whatever we have released, we follow the John Papa style guide. So everything is in line with that. So it is an official guide endorsed by the AngularJS team. We follow that. So we try to follow most of the rules. We cannot follow 100% everything, but we try to follow most of the rules. It also helps us to migrate to AngularJS, as we have been told. Yeah. JHipster, so we also use a lot of libraries, like Bower libraries and so currently Bower libraries. So we use UI router for routing because it is a far better router than Angular's. We use Twitter Bootstrap. We use some plugins for those. We use date picker, infinite scrolling, loader bars, few of those things. We also use UI Bootstrap. On top of Twitter Bootstrap, we use UI Bootstrap for the JavaScript side, so that we don't have to rely on Bootstrap's JavaScript. So all these are installed by Bower, so you can install any other library you want on top using Bower as well. So for AngularJS 2, currently we are doing the migration for AngularJS 2. We are almost there. We are almost 90% ready on the main generator. We still have a few things to sort out and clear. We are expecting more contribution from the community as well. We already have some help from the UI router team and the Webpack team. So we are expecting to finish this sooner and release a beta on Angular 2. So it will be an option. We'll be still supporting AngularJS 1. So AngularJS 2 will be an option, a beta option. So both will live next to each other. So once we release the beta, the focus will shift to Angular 2. So to get it out of beta, so we'll be working more on that. So the AngularJS 1 part will be kind of frozen, except for bug fixes and important changes. So this will be mostly JHipster version 4.0.
Yes, and if you want to customize the front end, we just saw we could just do both install. Of course, you can override anything as usual. It's still Twitter Bootstrap. So we will have Bootstrap 4 support for Angular 4 with for JHipster 4 with Angular 2. Yeah. But basically, it's just very simple stuff with Twitter Bootstrap.
It's simple Bootstrap.
Yeah, so nothing very specific on this part. Should we do a small break now?
A small break.
Yeah, but very small because we don't have that much time, in fact.
Maybe 8 minutes?
10 minutes?
Okay,
yeah?
10 minutes.
Yeah, is that fine for everyone? Yes? Yes. So 10 minutes break, and we start again. And we got lots of stuff. Hello again, everyone. So it was a short 10 minutes break because we've got so many things to do. Yeah. So let's go back to business. So in the first part of this session, we generated an app. Then we extended it with entities. Then we showed you how to work with your IDE, with Gulp and everything to develop on it. And so we did quite a complex app. Now we have developed it. Well, things that you should do because not everybody does it. You would like to test the application.
Test your application, TDD. Yeah, it's always good.
So JHipster comes with lots of options. By default, we generate JUnit test and Spring integration test on the back end. We'll see the front end just afterwards. So we are out of time, in fact, for the demo on this part because it's quite big. But just to show you how it works, so as you might remember, we changed quite a number of code. So of course I broke my test. How is it working? Hang on. View, exit presentation mode. Oh, sorry, it's because it's very small. So of course you can run your test with Maven, just doing Maven test, or you can run them with your IDE. Yeah, I'm just right-clicking, run all test, and it's going to fail because you remember we added some lists, we modified some stuff, and that was an interesting part of the presentation.
Yeah.
But as we're running out of time, I'm going to do what all good programmers do, is I'm going to write @ignore on my test, and it's going to work much better. We have the solution, let's say.
Yeah.
In the,
so remember, like when you make changes to the generated code, remember to make changes to the tests as well, so that it works.
Well, basically, if just to show the first error,
Yeah.
authentication object cannot be null. I don't know if you remember, we added some security check depending on the user, so now we are checking who the user is. It wasn't done before, so of course, now this is failing. And we have a few tricks here for that. Just going to quickly go through them. So we use, well, our integration tests are very fast on Spring because we reuse the Spring context and the database context for each test. So the first test is a little bit slow, but all the rest is very, very quick.
Yeah.
So you can do a lot of integration tests without any issue with JHipster, which is not that common, in fact. I see many users, well, many companies that don't have a clean setup here, so we've got something very good here. When Spring is not enough, we use Mockito to mock dependencies. There is one good trick I wanted to show is the @with_mock user from Spring Security, because basically that's the issue we have here. You know, we have no security here, and if you want to add it, you just put @mock user with mock user from Spring Security, and then you tell it the name of the user, and by default with JHipster the user is test. So, but I'm not going to do it because we run out of time. So I'm going to do good @ignore everywhere. Why isn't it happy? Oh, sorry. Yes, I'm not on the right one. Thank you. Don't know who said it. I owe you a T-shirt.
Yeah. We have a lot of T-shirts to give away.
Yes.
A lot of stickers as well.
Yes. So @ignore, and that would be fine. And something on the other one. So we have the solution, of course, on our GitHub repo. We've got a backup repo. We'll send it to you. And then, the tests are running. Oh, and just another annoying stuff. It's a bit small. Let's put it back to presentation mode. Another annoying stuff with test is this thing. I don't know if you're familiar with this. It's this because we use field injection in Spring. And you can do tests with field injection, just it's a bit annoying. So this is one of the reasons why we are considering constructor injection in the future. But that's another discussion. Just wanted to show this little trick also, because this is like the @with_mock user. If you don't know the trick, it's quite annoying to test with security. And so by default, the user is test. So you just need to create a test user and test with the test user. As we saw, so the entity subgenerator generated specific tests for each CRUD operation, so create, retrieve, update, delete. And it's just failing because I modified my business code, but then of course you need to modify your test according to your business code.
So if you have, say, selected all the testing options like Gatling, Cucumber, Protractor, when you generate an entity, you get Gatling test, Cucumber test,
yes.
Protractor test, Karma.js test, and default Spring integration test. So a lot of testing is generated out the box as well.
Yeah, so we have Karma out of the box. So Karma is here. Well, if I do a gulp test, we can see Karma running. I don't think we did bugs here. So gulp test is just running Karma. Hopefully it will work. Yes. Come on. It's supposed to be quick. It's not that quick. About 7 seconds.
And if you have chosen Phantom.js, then you can see a real-time browser test using Selenium and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, and we selected for options Gatling. So we got Gatling test here for the wish list and the wish. And so this is
good for performance testing. It's very nice.
Yes.
And it uses Scala.
Yes, it uses Scala, so it's slow. It's annoying. But basically it's a Scala DSL. So for me, it's not really Scala, it's just a DSL. I don't like when people say they use Scala when they just basically do a DSL. It's like, it's not real Scala. And for Gatling, we have same thing. We've got some basic simulations. By the way, as you can see here, which are specific for each security option. Here we are with GWT, so we use the GWT token and so on. So we've got standard test with Spring integration and Karma, and optional test with Gatling, Protractor, and so on. So Karma, Gatling. Oh, sorry, I forgot Cucumber.
Yeah, Cucumber. So Cucumber is for BDD. So if you're familiar with BDD testing, you can use Cucumber for that. We have a simple integration at the moment. We won't be able to generate business logic testing for you. We do a simple wrapper implementation. You have to write your business logic tests inside. So that would make sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Protractor, so I didn't select it, but otherwise it would have generated some protractor test. So it's a great way to test AngularJS. Of course, it's a bit more complex to set up because you've got to have the full backend server. Well, you need the full backend server to run. But then it's complete end-to-end test. So that's really nice. By default, we use Firefox because we saw it was it's installed on Linux everywhere, which is not the same thing with Chrome. But we often have issues when Chrome auto-updates. So, well, it's not our fault. And we try to correct them each time. That's an annoying part. Last but not least, once you have done all the tests, you probably want to do some quality analysis. And for that, we have an integration with Sonar. We saw our Docker configuration. Well, in our Docker configuration, we also generate a Sonar configuration. So if you just do Docker compose Sonar up, you've got a fully working Sonar server running. And you can just do, after that, a Maven test Sonar, and you're going to have the analysis coming. So by default, we've got some pretty good mark on everything. We always work to make them better. As on JHipster, we've got some, let's say, configuration code. Sometimes Sonar is not too happy, but usually we've got very good marks from the beginning. And there's, of course, a huge work to do here.
For continuous integration, by default, we generate a Travis configuration and Jenkins 2 configuration. So for the Travis configuration, whatever we generate, backend and frontend test configurations are present. So we use Travis ourselves for our CA. So it is very good. Jenkins 2 configuration, a complete documentation can be found on the website. We generate a test configuration with Jenkins for now. Not very advanced, but basic to get you started.
Yeah. So we went quite fast on testing because we want to go to production.
Yes.
And we don't do bugs, so we don't need to test.
So, okay. So
going to production.
So development of the app was great. Everything good code quality, like you follow guidelines and everything. Great developer experience. But what about going for production? That is what I'm more worried about.
Okay.
So can we do an audit to see how optimized the app is?
Oh, yes. Yes, of course, Mr. Client. Is it running? I don't think it's running. Let me run the app again. Oh, sorry. I run the test again. Ah, sorry. It's running. Okay.
So this is where JHipster really shines. It not only provides a great developer experience, it also does a lot more than that. Okay.
So I went back. I removed gulp because I don't want to do an audit on processing. I'm doing an audit on the real app. So let's do a quick audit on our web page.
This is on the development, right?
Yes, we are in the development version. Oh, sorry, Mr. Client. We've got a very bad mark. So we've got lots of JavaScript, lots of CSS. Nothing is cached. Nothing is
not compressed. It's not gzip enabled.
It's really bad.
There's no caching. Yes, this is really bad.
It's really awful. So that's what we just talked.
I wouldn't go to production
no,
with this.
No. Well, some people do it. If you have only a few users, it can work. But of course, it's not enough. So what we just talked before the break is that we've got profiles by default. We are with the dev profile, and it's really good because that's how we have out for everything. We're using the John Papa style guide, so we've got lots of little files, perfect for big teams. But in production, it's like very, very bad.
Yeah.
what I like to show here is the index page, because everybody understands it straight away when they see the index page. We've got, well, some JavaScript. More JavaScript. And
a lot of JavaScript.
And you can understand that this is not going to be very well. We've got also lots of HTML files, which are loaded by the JavaScript. So we don't see it here, but we've got lots of views also.
This is great for development, but very bad for production.
Yeah, perfect for development, but very bad for production. And so, of course, for that, we've got our production profile. There are several ways to run it. I'm going to run it like here with Maven, because probably the easiest way. So I'm going to use a specific Maven profile, but this will also trigger a prod profile for Spring, while everything will work out of the box. Yeah. So let me just close close my window, close this. So I close my development server, and now here I'm going to run mvn wrapper clean package. Clean package. So what this is going to do is that it's going to, of course, compile everything, run all the tests. That's why I did at git ignore on my unit test. Backend test, front-end test. It's going to package everything. And when I say packaging, so on the Java side, it's quite obvious. Yeah. It's going to be a big WAR file. But on the client side, it's going to minify everything, put everything in one big, in two big files.
Two big files, revision those.
With a MD5. Why two files? There is one for the vendor part, like AngularJS, so a part that does not move that often, and another part for your own code, which probably moves more often. It's already generated. Yeah. So here we saw the index page, the dev index page, which is, let's say, ugly. Let's have a look straight away at the new index page for production, which is hidden here. As you can see, it has been totally minified, and it's just linking to two JavaScript files, which even have the HTML inside. Yeah.
It is even revisioned also, so that there is no caching issues.
Yes, there is no caching issue because you've got an MD5, and that should be very efficient for production. And what it generates, yes, it's already generated. There are several ways to run it, but the easiest way is to do what I'm doing now. It generates, in fact, an executable WAR file. So I can just run it like this, and it's just going to run. I've already got my SQL running, so it's fine. So it's basically the same app, but with some other options. And now we don't have auto reload anymore on the back end. Yeah. We don't have the same logging configuration. That's why we have less logs.
We use undertow.
Yeah, we use undertow. And if I go to my app here, I'm opening another one. So we have the same app, but as you can see, here we have the development banner. We don't have it anymore. Let's log in. So it's the same thing, but in fact, now, if I do the same audit, so you remember I had a very, very bad mark, and now I only have one thing which is not cached, which is the index page, of course, because it's loading all the rest. So if you cached it, nothing would work. So here I've got the perfect mark for production. So my production code is much, much better. There are more things than this. We do JZipping. We don't have the same EH cache configuration. There are way more than what we just saw here. But my main point is that everything is provided for production. And as you saw, running it here was very, very easy. It was just a matter of running an executable file.
So with JHipster, we have both equally covered. We have the developer experience, great developer experience, as well as great production optimization. So we have both profiles greatly covered, so you don't have to sacrifice on one.
Yeah.
Okay. So for monitoring, we showcased monitoring earlier on. So we use Spring Boot actuator for that, and we build a UA on top of that. We use drop wizard metrics as well for JVM metrics, HTTP request metrics. That is what the at-timed annotations you would have seen on the resource files. So you can have those at-timed annotations anywhere, like resource files, service classes, and you can measure metrics for that. That is very important when you are doing production grade apps. You have cache metrics, Spring Boot metrics. Logs can be sent to an ELK server if you want. You can stream the logs to an ELK server. You can stream the logs to Spark. You can stream the logs to what else?
To Logstash.
Yeah, Logstash. So all those are configured out of the box.
I just wanted to show, so that's what you just talked about. I forgot to do the demo. So we have metrics for all our Spring Beans, including the ones we have generated. You have the wish here, for example. We've got cache for everything, including the wish and the wish list. And as you can see, they are also monitored.
And data source.
And the data source also. So that's where you go in production, and you can see, oh, maybe my cache configuration is not good for production. I can tweak it. So everything is already set up for you.
Yes.
And by the way, but we will see that for the microservices.
Yeah, we'll see in detail.
Yeah, we've got something called the JHipster console, which helps you monitoring the JHipster app with ELK. I've shown just starting up an executable a WAR file. You can also build a Docker image, and for that, we already generate a Docker file and a Maven or Gradle plugin to generate the Docker image of the application. We'll do that afterwards for microservices. So of course, you need to have Docker running, and when you have Docker running, you just do a Maven package Docker build, and it's going to build a Docker image of your app. So it's easy to run it on Docker. If you run, like on my second line, the app.yaml file, it's your Docker app with its services, so with MySQL, for example. So here it's a full infrastructure with both the application and the services, and everything will be running. It's me again. If you want something more complex, we've got something called the Docker Compose subgenerator. So we've seen several subgenerators, like the entity subgenerator or the upgrade subgenerator. For Docker Compose, so we've got a basic configuration, which is really good. But if you want something more complex, we've got a specific subgenerator, which is going to ask you questions on what you want in your Docker file. And well, we will see that for microservices. For monoliths, it's useful, but not that much, because usually for a monolith, you have maybe two services.
It's more useful for microservices.
Yeah. It's mostly useful for microservices. So we'll see that when we do microservices.
Okay, Docker Compose and Docker Swarm. So if you are deploying to production and if you want to scale, you can use Docker Swarm for that. So it is normally very hard to configure all that. Docker Swarm configuring all that is a bit hard. So we provide configuration files out of the box for this. So you can simply use Docker Compose and the scale command to automatically scale your apps. So even if you're launching your apps in clusters, it can be scaled. So it works out of the box normally. So for a gateway, if you're using a gateway or a load balancer, those would be required for port conflict handling and all those things. So when you do this, either you should use Hazelcast distributed cache, which is the default for our microservice option, or you should disable the caching, else you'll have issues with that.
Yeah, we'll see more about that when we do
we'll have some demo
microservices. If Docker is well, not what you use in production, a lot of people today are running on Kubernetes. Well, the issue, well, I will do my personal thoughts about it. I think that Docker is great for production. I'm using Docker for Mac. That's what I'm doing all the time here. It's great. But in production, Docker is really, really complex. Yeah. It's not really working up to the hype, in my opinion.
It's hard to manage.
It's really hard to manage. So a lot of people are deploying to Kubernetes in production. And for this, we've got a Kubernetes subgenerator. So it works the same way as the Docker one. But, well, basically because it was copied on it. So of course, it works the same way. And it was developed by Red Song from Google, so with the Kubernetes evangelist. So hopefully, it should be working very, very well.
Yes.
So
he knows what he does. So.
Yeah, very well. Much better than I do. So if you want to deploy to Kubernetes, we've got this subgenerator, which is working the same way, but which is targeted to Kubernetes. Yeah. So what a lot of people probably do, well, what I personally would do, is that I develop on Docker, but I deploy to Kubernetes.
So this is currently a beta option of us, and we hope to get it out of beta with more feedback.
Yes. This one is very, very complete. We will come back to Docker and Kubernetes when we talk about microservices, because it's much more complex. Otherwise, for people, well, either doing monoliths or let's say microservices, but without having all those services that we have with Docker and Kubernetes. You can deploy to other clouds. The first one is Cloud Foundry. So we've got also a specific subgenerator.
Yeah. So we have a specific subgenerator for Cloud Foundry. Of course, we have specific subgenerator for most of the major cloud providers. So the Cloud Foundry subgenerator, you can deploy your app to production automatically. It uses the CF command line to deploy, bind database services, etc. It can only support services which Cloud Foundry offers. Say, for example, the database. Yeah, it can only support databases which. So if you have, say, for example, if you have chosen Oracle and then you try, then it would fail because it doesn't support Oracle. So you have to take care of that part.
Yeah, but if you have a simple monolith, this is really good. That's what I did last week for one of my clients. I was with Cloud Foundry and MongoDB.
It's very easy to deploy monoliths to Cloud Foundry. Is like just run the subgenerator and it would, if you have already configured your CF command line, it is a breeze. Just deploy.
Yes, it's probably the fastest way. That's I had my demo running in like 1
seconds,
hour.
Right?
Yeah, I mean with some business code. Yeah. I took 55 minutes for the business code and 5 minutes for that. And I had everything in production. So that's really nice. We have the same thing for Heroku. So Heroku, yes, it's a public cloud. It's not exactly the same as Cloud Foundry has the same goals as Cloud Foundry. It is developed by Joe Kuttner from Heroku, so it's also a contribution from the company. So it's like Kubernetes from Google with Red Song. Here we have Heroku from Joe Kuttner. So we've got the official contribution from the company, so it's working very well. It's probably, yes, by the way, it's probably more up to date than the Cloud Foundry one because I'm doing the Cloud Foundry one and I don't work on it every day. So if you have a public website, it's really, really good. Or Heroku now I've got new options where you can have some private spaces for Heroku, and it also works on it. So it works really well. Well, basically the same thing as the others. Well, slide after that we will talk about all the other options. But basically all the options are working the same way. When you get the
I mean the workflow is all the same. It only uses different command line tools and a slightly different tweaking here and there to make it work. Say we have a AWS subgenerator which you can use to deploy to Elastic Beanstalk. So it does database configuration and Elastic Beanstalk app deployments for you. Similarly, there is an option to deploy to Box Fuse, which is something on top of AWS. So you can deploy to any app servers, JBoss, WebLogic. I mean, we have heard people deploying it to all sorts of containers, enterprise servers, or you can use the executable vars directly. A lot of ways to deploy it.
Yeah, that's what I just did. Basically, we just work on top of Spring, so as long as you have an executable Spring Boot, it works. And always in the same way. So that's what's good about it.
Yes.
And then it's really your choice, whether maybe your production guys, they want to run on JBoss, maybe they want to run on Heroku. It really depends on what you prefer. On the price of course is not the same. It really depends on what you want to do. So we went to production. We are quite happy. Let's have a look at other projects, well, sub-projects and tooling outside of JHipster. Well, it's part of JHipster, but it's not the main generator. And that's very, very important. Well, the first one is really, really important. So the GDL is the JHipster domain language. What we have seen, when I was doing the entities, I was answering the questions, and that's really nice. But if you have lots of entities, at some point, it's, well, very tiring, because you've got to do all the answers. And if you do a mistake, well, you can regenerate. We saw that, but still
it becomes a bit time-consuming when you have a lot of entities.
And also, if you've got lots of relationships, well, what I used to do is like I had a whiteboard and I was writing everything to generate, and that's just annoying. So the best option is to use our domain language, which can help you to generate very complex domain models. We have tons of people using that. It's incredible, because I monitor the web page. We've got tons of people every day on this page, and it can generate so all field types, validation, relationships, DTOs, services, everything that we see.
It basically supports everything that the entity subgenerator
enumeration. Oh, we didn't show the enumerations. We also do enumerations, Java enums. So there are several ways to write the GDL. So the easiest one is to use the GDL Studio. Let's have a look at it. So if you go to our website, it's a link on the website. Can you see? Yeah, perfect. Sorry, Mr. Client, you had something.
Okay, so yeah, I'll just talk about this first. So here the JDS Studio is an open source web app, so we have hosted it on GitHub. So it has features like auto completion, validation. It even has the Sublime text compatible key map, so you can use shortcuts. You're familiar with Sublime here. So it does a nice real-time GUI visualization for whatever you're doing. So it is easy to visualize what you're doing, similar to a UML kind of representation. You can even share URLs. You can export, import the models, all sorts of things. So it is a very nice way to generate entities for JHipster. So let's say that for the app, whatever we generated, I have few more specifications. So I can share the specifications. Can you generate those for me using JDL?
Yeah. So this is again our Hipster store. So our Hipster store has got a product. The product has got a brand. The product has got a size, and it is into subcategories and categories to find the product. So it's quite a complex.
Yeah. So the size is an enum. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of a complex store now, and I want all that, of course, in my app. So first thing is making it run again. Is it running or not? Run. So, and I'm going back to dev mode, in fact, because I'm developing again. And what I'm going to do here, so I got all the specifications from my client. I typed, so as you can see, when I type, I've got auto-completion, string, and my graph automatically updates, so it's quite easy to use. And if I want to share it, I can just click here, and I've got a link that I can share with my friends. And once I'm happy with it, I just download it. And let's go back here to Gulp. So I'm in dev mode again. So this is my app. So this is what we created already, so the wish and the wish list. And now I'm going, oh, I did running twice. Sorry, I did a mistake. Yeah, I didn't run the right thing. I'm going to run it like that. Run. Okay. So now I'm going to use JHipster again, and I'm going to execute the file I just downloaded. So the file containing this GDL configuration. So I'm going to copy it. Oh, sorry. Go to store. I'm going to move it from my downloads because I just downloaded it. Downloads. Here it is. And I'm going to do your JHipster import. Or is it GDL import or import GDL?
Import GDL.
In the import GDL. And I'm going to add my file and just execute that.
Yes.
And what it's going to do is basically it's going to answer my questions very, very quickly. And everything will just be generated. So if I come back here, let's build it again.
So this is the fastest way to generate a lot of a complex model, domain model.
You can see my domain model, the brand, the category, everything is here. And why didn't we start? Come on. This is what I selected. I don't remember. I wrote Devox somewhere, I think. Oh, no, you removed it?
Yeah, you removed it.
I removed it. Okay, sorry. And so everything should have been, the database should have been updated.
Yes.
The Java code has been updated. The front end has been updated. So when I come back to my app here, I've got everything here. So I've got, I don't know, the brand. I can create a new brand like Devox brand. And I can create my entities, my product. So the product, it's got an image. It's linked to the brand I just created. Cool. Product. And everything is working. By the way, we've got some nice little links here between entities. That's fine. So basically, with the GDL Studio, I have the opportunity to have a graphical view and code very quickly my entities. And that's what most people are doing today,
Yeah.
I think.
So for a real use case, this would be a more preferable way. Like you
Yes.
plan your project, you model your entities, then you can just generate that. So it's like you can have the base app ready in about maybe 1 hour.
Yeah, very quickly.
Yeah.
Very, I did the demo very quickly,
Yeah.
by the way. And by the way, we've got an Eclipse plugin that is being worked on, so it's called the JHipster IDE. And if I just, let's open up Eclipse. If it's,
Basically, it supports JDL Studio kind of features into the IDE itself.
yeah, so you've got IDE support for that. It's not totally complete, but it's already working
It's
fine.
being worked on.
So if I just open up my my JHipster project, it will recognize what we just did. So if I go to Julien Devox store, open, finish, and let it work a little bit. And here it is. Our GDL is here. And so you've got a, yes. So you've got auto-completion in your IDE. You've got the GraphQL view, and, well, the same thing as online, but it's in your IDE. And you can, maybe it's easier to put it into Git and so on to work on. But basically, it's the same thing in the end. Really nice stuff. So that's a new project, which is not released yet, but which should, well, as you can see, it's already working. So it should be released pretty quickly.
Okay.
Modules.
So sometime, I think last year, so we decided to extend JHipster to be more flexible so that other people can customize it. There were a lot of requests to add features and support and for specific things. So obviously we cannot do all. So better extend JHipster so that other people can do whatever they want on top of that. So that is where the JHipster modules comes in. So it gives a power of a subgenerator which you can write on your own. So you can write any kind of subgenerator which uses JHipster, which works on top of JHipster. So basically, say for example, you want to create a material design theme on top of JHipster. Then you can do a module for that. Or you want to create some auditing. So entity auditing, we already have a module for that. So these kind of things can be done using modules. So we provide API for that using JHipster. So you can use the JHipster API.
Of course, it's not working.
Sorry?
I'm doing a demo and it's not working, of course.
The
That's another
marketplace is
service.
not-
Yeah. And then
Okay.
also, oh,
The internet.
okay, there's like some check to see that you are not a bot.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
I'll explain anyway. So we have a lot of modules. We even have a marketplace where the modules will be scanned and shown. So you can use any of the modules there. You can extend features of JHipster using the modules. You can write your own modules. You can have your private modules, public modules, up to you. Currently, we have some of the famous modules are like we have. 1 second.
Yes. We've
It
got
doesn't
modules
work?
for. Oh, sorry.
Does
What
it
is
work?
that? I don't know why. Okay. It should be working. I think my Firefox updated, in fact. Yeah, so we've got today 24 public modules, but people also write their own modules for their companies.
Yeah.
If you have, for example, a specific security configuration for your company, maybe you want your own module and not share it with the rest of the world.
We even have a hook mechanism for the entity subgenerator and the main app generator, so that if your module registers itself as a hook to the generator, then when you run the generator, we will call those modules as well. So that, say for example, we have an entity audit module, which generates auditing capability to the entities. So whenever you generate an entity, it will automatically create the auditing part also by calling this particular module by using the hooks. So you can learn more about that in the documentation. We have a developer guide for that as well on how to create your own modules and stuff. We even have a module generator, which you can use to generate your module and then just change the logics as you like. Okay.
Yeah. So last but not least, because we have 30 minutes left, let's go to microservices.
Yeah. So let's say the app we generated, it's becoming a bit complex, right?
Yes.
So can we convert that to a microservice? to be hip and cool. And
you want to change everything?
Yeah.
Are you crazy?
Kind of.
Of course, Mr. Client. It's going to be easy with JHipster. So what we did was a monolith. We're going to transform this to a gateway, and we're going to add microservices. We do the demo and we do the slides afterwards?
Yes.
Yeah. So first of all, I forgot to do is git add everything, git commit, add GDL files, and git push it. So I got everything clean before breaking everything when I'm going to microservices. So what's going to, how can I migrate? There are several ways to migrate, but I'm going to do something very easy. You can regenerate the app. There are many things to do it, many ways to do it, but I'm going to do it very easily. I'm going to use my JHipster configuration. It was a monolith. Now it's a gateway.
That's the easiest way.
I am cheating. And then I'm going to ask it to regenerate everything. So when I'm asking it to regenerate everything, it will really regenerate everything, and I'm using force to force regenerate. So this is going to erase everything I have done, all my business code.
So the command is equivalent of using yo JHipster -- with entities.
Yes.
-- force.
Yes.
So it regenerates the app, all the entities, and forces everything. So there is no questions and stuff. So easiest way to destroy everything you have done.
Yes. So this destroyed my my business code, but that's not a problem because I'm going to add it again very quickly. But just to show how it is. Oh, sorry, it will not run. We need to talk about something before. So my app has been regenerated as a gateway. We're going to see very soon how it works. But as we are doing microservices, we need something new, which is a registry. We need a service registry.
Architecture?
Sorry?
Maybe you can show the architecture.
So yes, let's show the slides. What we are going to generate here is it's a full microservice architecture. We've got a gateway on the top. So the user, the browser, is coming to the gateway. So the gateway is basically what we already coded. We've got an AngularJS app. We've got some entities. And this gateway is going to be connected to microservices using a registry. So that's what you have on the left. Today we have 2 registries available. We will talk more about them in the slides. But you can either use Consul or our own JHipster registry, which is based on Eureka and Spring Boot config server. We will see the differences afterwards. And thanks to that registry, that's our microservices and gateways will find each other, and we'll also get the configuration from the registry. So first thing I need to do is run the registry. So let's go to the registry. So this is another JHipster application we also provide. It's also free. It's also open source. Everything is free with JHipster.
We even have a Docker image for that, so that is the easiest way to use that.
Yes.
Just pull the image and run it.
Yeah, it's our more popular Docker image. People usually just pull it, but you can also clone it and run it like I did.
Yeah, like a normal app.
Like a normal app. It's a JHipster app, and so we do it on purpose because if you already know JHipster, because you're doing a JHipster app, you already know how to modify the registry if you want to. Don't know why you would want to do it, but
so this is the JHipster registry.
So this is your registry. You've got information on your registry here. Here you've got the applications running. There is none at the moment. Here's the history of the application we registered and which left, so none at the moment. Replicas, it's if you want to replicate your registry. Some configuration options. How to connect to SSH, how to have a SSH configuration with your registry, because it's handling your configuration. And the usual JHipster metrics and so on.
This is for the registry itself.
So yes, so the registry itself is monitoring itself. And of course, all this will be monitored. If I come back here, you can see at the bottom, we've got Elasticsearch or /Kibana to monitor everything. And we've got, in fact, our own JHipster console. So it's a tuning on top of ELK, because we already know what you will want to monitor. You will want to monitor your Spring Beans.
We provide some pre-configured dashboards.
Yeah, everything will be pre-configured.
Yeah.
We'll see that afterwards. So first, I started my registry. Let's start my app again. Hang on. How come we've got 86 minutes left?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I think the time is wrong. Sorry, the time is wrong on our monitor. So I just run my app again. Let's have a look. So first of all, it's registered here. We can see our app here. Hipster store, only one instance. It's running. And if I come back to my app here, so it's the same app as before with the entities. Well, we missed the business part.
Yeah.
And we've got just one new menu, the gateway menu. So we can see that we are going to have routes to other entities, to other microservices, but we don't know yet where they are. Well, we have not coded them yet. Of course, I erased all my business code, so that's bad.
So you need to put them back?
Yeah, I would like to put them back. There are several ways to do it. First of all, maybe I should not have forced erase everything. Maybe I should have done it more intelligently, smartly. But another way to do it, that's what I usually do, is that I just, in fact, yes, erase everything, and then I use source tree. Sorry? And yeah. And with source tree, what I'm going to do is, so we generate the gateway, generate gateway. I'm going to push it. And that's why I did a clean commit history. So then I want to come back here. Oh, by the way, you can see here, it's an upgrade. When we do the JHipster upgrade, it did a branch for that, for doing the upgrade, and migrating to JHipster 3.10.0. So we've got a clean branch for that. And when I will want to migrate to 3.10.11, we'll use the branch again. And if I come back here, well, we remember that, so we wanted to limit the list to the user, so I'm going to cherry pick that. This is good. I wanted to limit the wishes. I'm going to cherry pick that one also. Do business logic. Add wish, what did we do here? Oh yes, we added the priority. Let's cherry pick this one. And the GDL was cool, so let's cherry pick this one also. And as soon as I make the project again, well, everything was fine.
Should work.
Everything will work. So now if I come to, I don't know, to the wish list, you remember? Oh, no.
I think it is not refreshed.
Yeah, it didn't refresh.
No.
Oh, I messed up. No, I messed one. I didn't cherry pick one. I don't know which one I missed. Well, basically, you get the idea. Oh. Let's see if the backend works.
Yeah, maybe you missed just one.
Yeah, I missed one. Probably this one, because it's badly named.
Not that one.
When did we do that? Business logic, add wish.
At the end, somewhere towards the end.
I did it. I don't know when we did it.
Limit.
Yeah,
I think you didn't commit that.
I didn't
committed
commit
that as the last.
Oh, sorry. I didn't commit it. Maybe I missed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay. I mean, I think you get the idea.
Yeah, you get the idea, but no, what we can see is the GDL, no, because we regenerated it. What can we take again? Hang on. Oh, yes, remember the very beginning? This one should be there in the wish list. It did not work. Hang on. Nothing worked, so I'm either not on the right project or something is totally wrong. Or IDE is wrong. Synchronize. Cherry pick should work. Okay, well, you get the idea, but I don't understand why it's not working. I mean, I'm not the right place. Okay. I'll find about this later. Let's not wait.
Yeah.
Let's not lose too many time on this.
But there are several ways to do that. Like you can cherry pick, you can do a manual merge.
Yeah, it's very, very strange. Because the code is here, Yeah. Yeah, but usually I just cherry pick and it works. Don't understand what happened. Well, we'll have a look. We'll post on Twitter the answer. Oh, sorry. Maybe we got issues here. Let's just add that. Okay, let's move on, because that's not very important, because you get the idea. And we've got only 20 minutes left, and we've got microservices to do.
Yes, so let's move.
And it's not a session on Git. And if I suck at Git, it's like...
it's okay.
It's not that important.
Let's continue with the demo.
Yes, so... Oh, we do the demo now? Okay.
Yeah, so
Mr. Client.
Okay, so I want to have a CMS on top of this.
Okay. And so, Mr. Client, so we have the full wish list. We've got the products with category, everything is here. And by the way, this worked. Because if I regenerate everything, I should not have the template. The bootstrap. Yeah, yes. Some of it worked, not everything. Worked. Anyway, not very important. So we've got our full Hipster store working, and you would like a CMS on top of it. And the CMS is going to be a microservice. So
can we have a different DB for that?
Oh, yes, because for a CMS, I would like to have MongoDB. It would be better for a CMS. So let's go to DevOps and create a new JHipster project called the CMS. Sorry, putting it bigger. And so my CMS, I'm going to call JHipster again. And this time I'm going to tell it, oh, I would like to do a microservice, which is this type of application, called CMS, on another port, with the default package name. It's going to use JWT because it's a microservice. Yeah. It's my default. It's going to use the JHipster registry, which is our default. It's going to use MongoDB. Oh, yes, we've got another option for microservices. It is no database, because we have got some customers who don't want a database or want something very specific, like AS400 or SAP. But so here we're going to select MongoDB, Maven, not Kafka yet, and yes, internationalization, the same thing as we got for the front end, and no Gatling. Everything is already generated. I can open it up with IntelliJ if it's happy. Okay, I can open it up with IntelliJ. Okay, refresh. New window. So this is basically the same thing as our previous app, but this time it's using MongoDB. So if I go to Docker, now we've got a MongoDB configuration, for example. And for the rest, it's what we have seen before. So I can already, I cannot already run it. I'll first need to run MongoDB. So let's do docker compose. SSC main docker MongoDB.yaml up. So the same thing as what we just did at the beginning of the session,
MySQL.
But this time with MongoDB. Yeah, it found also MySQL running next to it, but that's fine. So now let's run my app. And so what this app is going to do, it's going, of course, to find MongoDB, but it's also going to connect to the registry. Everything will find each other, and everything is just...
The gateway should route to this.
And get registered. So let's have a look on the registry. So if we go to the application, we already have the CMS ready. Yes, with MongoDB, it's starting faster, so it's already there. And if I go to my gateway here, well, there's several stuff I could do. First here, I can see there's a new route which has been created. So this is using Netflix. So we've got load balancing, failover, circuit breaking here, and the gateway is opening up the door to the CMS.
It's a full proxy, so...
Yes, it's a full proxy. We've got security with JSON Web Token, and we've got, of course, documentation. If I go to the API here, I can have the Swagger document. Oh, not yet. Can't read Swagger. Oh, sorry, it's because I'm... Oh, okay, I know what I did. It's because it doesn't go well through browser sync.
Yeah. The port conflict.
Well, it's going to run here.
Yeah.
No? Oh, no, yes, it works. was frightened. So my CMS for the moment is empty. I'm going
So we need to have some entities there.
Of course.
Okay, we can have our article, title, content.
Yeah, so let's do the same thing as earlier. So creating a new entity. So for that, you can also use the GDL Studio or everything that we saw before. It works. It's of course, with MongoDB, you don't have relationships, so it's a bit easier, but it works. And so my article is going to have a title, type string, and a body of type blob. Let's use some beta stuff.
Text file.
Yeah, text file. And I don't want anything fancy because we don't care. Yeah. Okay, so that generated only the backend because it's a microservice.
Yeah.
So
you
only
see
the
that
backend
there are
was generated.
no front-end files here.
No front-end file. Or if I had selected Gatling, we would have some Gatling tests.
Yeah.
But or we've got some integration tests. Otherwise, it's only backend stuff. So if I come back to my app here, if I build it again, so Spring Boot DevTools is going to run. Just to show you that it runs faster with MongoDB. So it was 3 seconds. This time it should be. Ooh. Oh, 3 seconds also. Yeah. Okay, it's my laptop which is running slow today. And if I come back here to the CMS API, I've got the article which is already documented here. So as you can see, we've got a full gateway with security, load balancing, circuit breaking, documentation, everything is here. And let's create an article using the API here, for example. I can say body is hello devox, no ID, of course. It's going to be generated by MongoDB, and title is hello. And I don't know how try it out. So it generated probably something in MongoDB. We can try it out. Yeah, it should have been in MongoDB using our API. Of course, that's just the backend, and we are used with JHipster of having everything here in the entities. We would like also to generate it here. And of course, that's easy to do. Yeah. I'm just taking...
So whatever you have generated on the microservice, the same can be generated on the gateway as well. So the client side of the entity would reside in the gateway, whereas the server side would be served by the microservice. So you can run the same again from the gateway, and you can see that. Yeah,
I'm running it from the gateway. I know I have a new question because it knows it's a gateway.
Yes. Sorry, I think...
what? Oh, yes, sorry.
JHE.
Yeah, JHE. I was frightened.
Yeah, almost rewrote.
So it knows it's a gateway. So do you want to generate that entity from a microservice? Yes, of course. And here it is. It's in CMS.
Yes, so you can give the path and it will automatically read the configuration files from there and it will generate accordingly.
Now, if I just come here, I've got my article here, and we can also already see hello and hello devox, which
was created from the backend.
Yes, I created it with Swagger, and I can already see it running.
And you can create it from here as well.
Yes, of course. So basically, you get the same developer experience with microservices as with a monolith, which is quite hard to achieve, in fact. Well, we're going to go through the slide, but last thing that we need to talk here about on developer experience is Docker. You can also quite quickly understand that the more microservices you have, the more databases, the more backend service you will get. Well, at one point, it's going to be really a nightmare to configure everything. So if you don't have Docker to configure everything, it's going to be a very, very bad experience. Yes. So we're doing everything in Docker so you can have a great developer experience for microservices.
So maybe we can quickly run through this and just...
Yeah.
So for the... so the gateway is a normal JHipster app with a Zul integrated into it. So it acts as a load balancer and proxy. So it provides access to microservices. So it uses Zul for routing, load balancing, and failover. It uses either JWT or OAuth2. There is a UAA option. We have a UAA option as well, UAA server. So if you want to use OAuth2, you can use the UAA server. So we already provide some custom Zul filters using Cassandra. So you can do some rate limiting, those kind of things. You can develop your own filters as well on top of the same architecture. So there is full Swagger documentation as well on the gateway for all the microservices. So a tip is that you can have several gateways, each gateway doing a specialized business code as well. So there is no limit that you can have only one gateway. So you can have multiple microservices and multiple gateways as well.
Yeah, it's quite a common use case. The microservices, it's the same thing. It's a normal JHipster app. So everything we just saw still works. But we don't have the AngularJS front end because we generate it afterwards on the gateway. You can use all database combinations. You can use Elasticsearch. Everything we just saw still works. The only limitation for the moment is WebSockets, because WebSockets don't go through Zool. And that will be in Zool 2, so very soon we should have this. But at the moment, people just do WebSockets on the gateway, but not on the microservices. Then it's a bit strange to have, a WebSocket coming from a microservice straight to the client. So not that much of an issue for me. And of course, you can use the GDL Studio here.
That should change with Zool 2, probably.
Yes.
Yeah. So JHipster registry is an open source application specifically developed for the JHipster microservice architecture. It uses Netflix Eureka and Spring Cloud Config. So we configure both that together to form the registry. So Spring Cloud Config is very useful for pushing your passwords and stuff. It can reconfigure microservices. You can store your configuration in Git. So the registry is very much similar to console or similar products. It has a very easy to use interface which is developed using JHipster. So it is available as a Docker image as well. So you can just pull the image, run the registry as it is, or you can even clone the repo and run it like any other normal app.
Yeah.
Or you can get a built var and run that as well. A lot of ways to do it.
So easy to, and you can also replicate it. So if you want high availability.
Yes.
As another option to the JHipster registry, and this is still in beta, but it should come quite quickly. We've got actually got Consul, which is kind of a competitor. It focuses on consistency. It has got a lot of, it's more efficient on the number of points. Like it's got faster service registration and unregistration. If I can go fast here with the gateway, you will see I will have missing microservices for some seconds. It's got a smaller footprint because it's not in Java, it's in Go. It's got a DNS server, so you can name your services. It's got a UI included. Registry also, but we needed to code it. At the moment, the JHipster registry is more stable, it's easier to extend, and it has got better Spring Cloud config support, so it pushes configuration, which, for Consul, we're doing our own extension for that. So we will also have this with Consul.
And JHipster registry is a JHipster app. So
yeah, so both of them should be, they don't exactly do the same thing, but they should be at the same level at some point.
Some use cases, you can use Consul.
So this will be a choice we will have, we already have in beta, but it's a choice we already have, yeah.
So we have one more microservice architecture app which we built for this architecture. It's called the JHipster Console. So it's basically a monitoring application built using ELK, Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana. So we have configured all three to work well together. It will stream, the microservices and gateway will stream the logs to the console, and the console will use ELK to process the logs and display it using some pre-configured dashboard. So we have some pretty good dashboards pre-configured for you, or most commonly required dashboards like JVM stats, your log analytics, and all those stuff, metrics, and all those things. So it is optimized specifically for the JHipster architecture. Receives directly receives all the events directly from JHipster over a socket. Can be automatically set up using Docker Compose subgenerator. So if you run, we'll be talking about the Docker Compose subgenerator later. So it will automatically set up JHipster console along with JHipster registry and all those things for you. So it is also available as a pre-built Docker image, or you can clone the repo and run it like a normal app.
I will quickly go to the demo, I think. Yeah, so if you want to customize the Netflix results, so the gateway is very easy. We provide lots of pre-built filters. For example, for quality of service is very important, so you can limit the rates per user. So that's something that we already provide, but you can add more, and depending also on your business needs. And we just saw this.
We saw this already. So
once you generated your microservice on the back end, on the microservice, you can generate them back.
You can use JDL as well.
Yeah. And if you use an SQL database, one of the issues you will get is having a distributed cache. Otherwise, well, all your microservices will have issues because they will not see the updates. And for that, we use Hazelcast, and we have a specific configuration with the JHipster registry, which allows Hazelcast to find each other. So we've got automatically distributed Hazelcast when we do Docker Compose scale.
So for security, we have JWT as the default. So the token is generated on the gateway. All microservices will accept the same token, and they share the same key with gateway using a config server. So the secret key is sent to all services and a gateway by the registry, again using the cloud config. So there is a beta option to support OAuth2 using a JHipster UAS server. When you generate, you will have the option to select that as well. If you use that, you can have OAuth-based authentication instead of JWT. It is still in beta, but quite promising.
And once you've got everything set up, you can easily deploy everything on Docker or Kubernetes. That's basically the same thing. Basically the same slides working the same way with the same kind of options. And I'm going to do it right now with Docker Swarm because it's working better on my machine.
So we'll show you how the Docker Compose subgenerator works and how you can just deploy it easily.
And it's the same thing.
Yeah. So the Docker Compose subgenerator is very important when you are doing microservices, because when you have a lot of services, configuring everything using Docker could be quite tricky, and setting up everything is a bit challenging. That is where the Docker Compose subgenerator will help. It will auto-generate a Docker configuration by scanning all your applications. It will scan all your microservices, gateways, whatever you have within a folder.
I'm doing it.
Yeah. So as he's doing it, I'll just explain that. So it will scan for everything. It will, so you can see the questions.
So it shows the CMS on the store.
Yeah. So it will scan.
Or we can have cluster database.
You can enable clustering. So it's a very useful subgenerator for microservices.
Do you want ELK? Yes. And by default,
you can set up passwords for registry. So as you can see, it has generated few files there in a specific folder in your microservice architecture. So when you're using Docker Compose subgenerator, it is advisable that you have a you have a parent folder with all your microservices and gateway within that, so that your Docker Compose subgenerator can scan through all and generate configuration. And it would be ideal that you organize everything in a single parent folder.
Yeah, I just killed IDE. Okay, so I've got a Docker. My Docker is empty. I run the Docker Compose generator. He saw my CMS and my store. I told him, create a complete configuration for those. And he saw that we didn't generate the Docker image for both. So for the CMS, let's create the Docker image. And it gave me the command line to do it.
So you can just copy-paste the commands to the specific services to generate images.
So we didn't do the right thing, so it just told us what to do. So this is building one Docker image here for the CMS, and here one Docker image for the store.
Gateway.
Yes, for the gateway. And once everything is generated, it will be pushed to my local registry.
And it will automatically pull JHipster registry's Docker image and console's Docker image.
Yes. And as I selected ELK, we will have ELK, which will be pulled. It will see that the CMS uses MongoDB, so it will use MongoDB. So this one is done.
It will pull all required images.
And here it will require MySQL, so it will pull also MySQL. And everything should work out of the box.
And finally, you can run all that with a single command.
Yeah.
So your entire microservice architecture can be spawned using a single command. So that is, it can't be convenient than that, right?
Yes. And of course, if you're doing that in development, as you saw, I had the option to select the microservices I want. Maybe if I'm only working on some part of the app, I'm not going to select everything.
Yeah, you can do a partial setup as well.
So it's running all the tests. Test failure. Oh, yes, because so like all good devs, skip test. Yeah, I don't know what I did with Git.
Okay. We are not advocating anything against TDD. It's just that we don't have enough time.
No, yes, it was, well, we just don't have enough time, but we should have solved the test, well, fixed the test,
Yes.
and I have in my backup demo, so I will send the link.
Skip test is evil.
And you should not do what I've done here, but still, it's going to work. Yes, building this Docker image is a bit long because so it's a gateway.
It installs. I mean, when you run a production build, it actually installs a local copy of Node and npm and uses that instead of your global Node and npm. This is to make sure that whoever runs your production build across any machine have a same Node.js version and everything works the same way. And even if you are putting it into a Jenkins kind of CI, it works the same way. So we use a plugin called Frontend Maven plugin to do that.
Yeah. Kitematic didn't say anything, like always. Okay. So here with Kitematic, we can see we launched a registry. This is the first thing that launches, because of course everything needs a registry to get started.
Else it will complain that there is no registry running. So
yeah. So we have MySQL running. We've got MongoDB. We've got ELK here, and we've got our apps. The CMS is here, and the gateway is somewhere. Is here.
Hipster
is here.
Yeah.
So we can already have a look at a few things. We can have a look at the registry, because it's the first thing running. So I know this one should be up. So the registry is here. For the moment, we have no app. So first one which will appear probably should be the CMS, logically. And we have also ELK, which is, well, I will give it some time to start up. Let's not rush too much. Yeah, so the CMS is the first one which is up, already here. Yeah, the CMS is here. And and the store is here. Yeah, everything should be already here. So let's sign in, admin. Let's have a look straight away at the gateway. It's saying the CMS. So let's create an article. I'm doing the most complex stuff straight away. Okay, so I know this is running because this is a MongoDB ID. And as I'm with MySQL on the gateway, this is obviously correct. Let's just have a look at the ELK, well, as a JHipster console. So this is doing, this is one of the generated reports. So this one is on performance. It says both apps, the registry, the CMS. Oh, it doesn't, no, the store doesn't show the CMS yet. It will arrive. It says all the Spring Beans, which are monitored with drop wizard metrics, and we've got request rates for everything. Let's put auto refresh on.
By the way, we are also updating the JHipster. It's currently being done. We are updating JHipster console to all latest stack.
Yes.
So it should have a very new UI from the latest ELK stack.
Yeah. And because time is up, just to show quickly what happens when you scale an app. So I just run, of course, one instance of everything. I would like to run 3 instances of the CMS and see what happens when it crashes. CMS app, yeah. So I'm doing Docker compose scale CMS app 3. So I'm asking it to launch 2 more instances of the CMS. It's already done. Here we should see them, yes. So we got the first instance here, 2 other ones here. So, yes, it waits a little bit before starting because it knows that maybe MongoDB will take time, anything. Okay, starting. We're going to see them appear first here on the registry. And once it appears here, it should appear on the performance dashboard and also on the gateway where we should see them everywhere. Come on, start up.
I think it's still starting.
Yeah, still starting.
Yeah, we have a few more minutes.
Yeah. Oh. Hopefully this is not bad. Come on.
I saw some error.
Oh, no, it took time to start. Maybe I should have given it more RAM. I only have 4 gigabytes of RAM for everything, by the way. But as you can see, a very complex app with ELK, the registry, the store, 3 microservices, everything is on 4 gigabytes.
That's good.
just to show I'm not, 3 gigabytes, 4 CPUs, still running. So when people say that Spring is heavy, well, you can say that bullshit. And we've got MongoDB and
MySQL as well.
And MySQL also.
Yeah, 3 instances of my MongoDB.
Yeah, we've got like tons of stuff running in 4 gigabytes. So that's enough to work. So here my CMS is here. Yeah, here you have the history of what happened. Let's go back here. So my gateway normally, sees that there are 3 servers. So now when I write articles, I'm going to do something. I'm going to try to make it fail. I can't promise. Here, when I ask for an article, it's probably on the first server, because it's doing just a round robin. So if I kill the first server very quickly, and I come back here very, very quickly, sometimes it can fail. No. Yeah. No. It already load balance on the other servers.
It's very good.
So as you can see, even with Consul, normally it doesn't fail.
Yeah.
With a Eureka, if you are good, you can make it fail, but it's very, very hard because after one failure, it sees that there's a failure, so it load balances to the other
So if
nodes.
you're very good, you can make it fail.
Yeah, it's really hard to make it fail. And here, so I come back to the performance dashboard. You can see all the nodes, even the failed one because it has not unregistered yet, but everything is getting monitored here with my Spring Beans and my apps, and everything is all monitored for me. So as time is running out.
So the same thing you can do with Kubernetes as well.
Oh, sorry, yes. Sorry,
So
you can do the same
exact
thing.
same thing can be done on Kubernetes as well.
Exactly
So,
the same thing.
Yeah.
Working the same way.
Yeah, same way. Slightly different commands, that's all.
And just to finish, so, well, there's huge community with JHipster, lots of people helping, and that's really great. But, well, it's only an open source project. There is no company behind it. Everybody is using it while doing it only 3 times, sometimes with work, but it's kind of complex.
Yeah.
So we've got some rules for that. So the first rule is that everything is public, so that when we help someone, if someone else has got the same issue, well, he can benefit from it.
We do get a lot of private emails and stuff, but we cannot keep responding
it's not
to
possible.
those things. So,
It's not possible. I often have people, sending me private email. In the day, I work for a customer. I'm just not going to answer that.
Yeah.
Questions are on Stack Overflow with the JHipster tag. Lots of people are answering them, so usually it's a very good way to go. We have bugs and features on GitHub. Only bugs and features.
Yes,
not,
only bugs and features, no questions.
If you have a question on, I don't know, I can't run Maven.
Yeah, please go to Stack Overflow.
Yeah.
Bugs, feature, if you are sure that it is a bug, open a bug request. Feature request, yes, as well. Follow our guidelines, please. And please contribute.
Yes.
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 We need more contributors.
Yes. There are only 250 contributors, so that's not enough.
So, questions. And guys, we have some T-shirts for you to grab and some stickers if you would like. So you can grab at your will. Yeah. The T-shirts are over there on the first
right here.
chair.
And if you have questions,
there are a lot of T-shirts. And
if you have questions, you can come to see us.
Yes, you can.
We're here for the afternoon.
Yeah.
Thanks.